Hello, everybody. This is the deep dive new episode. I know it's been a bit long, but I've got Unter with me. And Unter currently, where are you right now? You're in Riyadh?
I'm in Saudi Arabia at the moment. Yeah, in Riyadh, for Twisted Minds' Saudi E-League's run. So we got the final in I want to say like 12, 14 hours for
Not,
Saudi E-Leagues.
and you're not asleep yet?
No, but the Saudi schedule is very much. You go late into the night. You wake up pretty close before the match. Meander over to the venue, take over. So yeah, this is just another day at the office, I think.
I was going to say, it looks like a nice fucking office on the back of you. I'm just saying. You got the
Oh,
big ass
I mean,
fridge with a
I can give
TV
you
screen.
the
And
tour if you'd
yeah,
like.
yeah, go
It's
for it.
actually
Yeah.
all right. So it's not thought. There's a bit of storage taking place in here. We've got a couple of gamers here.
Like that. Gamers. I
Um,
like that.
yeah, there's some like uncleaned up bags of food from said gamers. Got yeah, I don't know. It's not a very fancy office, but they're building a new one, which is why there's a bunch of air conditioners on the table or on the floor over there behind the tables, because
Sick.
those air conditioners are going into the new building, I believe. So
There
it
you go.
will be
Your new
wonderful in
home
Twisted
when
Minds
you're
office.
not going to be there. So sick.
Yeah, no, maybe next the office build.
I did want to. So I did a little bit of a deep dive, a little browse. So I want you
I like
to.
the type.
Yeah, exactly. I want you to tell me what this is about. So December 15th, 2017. I'm the greatest
Oh
Soldier
wow.
76 player to ever grace the region. Debate me. What was that? What's going through your head
How do
there?
you find this crap? Like, what did you just like go scrolling on my Twitter or something? How
Hey,
do you find this stuff?
pretty easy to find.
Okay, I mean, I think that must have been like Australian Open Division or something, and there was like no role lock in Overwatch because I used to play like everyone plays. And we had some strange strat on like Numbani first point where like I was the flex support on my team at the time, and I was playing Soldier, and we won. And I was fucking terrible at Soldier, just absolutely awful. Like I can't even use a mouse. I can't. So we won this match with me on Soldier. It's like I got no clue. Like I just played like shit, got absolutely clapped, and we won anyway. So that was the tweet post match, I guess.
The post match tweet
Uh,
2017 OD in Australia. That's Australian Open Division, right?
yeah, well, I don't know if it was even called OD back then. To be honest, I can't remember the tournament names, but it was the best you could be doing in Australia at the. It was tier one Australian Overwatch, basically.
Yeah, I actually have heard it all from like Scott and like Avril and stuff too about grinding like Oz, even like TF2 and stuff. I don't know if did you play TF2 back in the day as well?
Nah, I wasn't a TF2 guy. I was more of like a MMO during my teenage years. Overwatch was the first.
Yeah. Oh, you have to move your mic close to your mouth. You're cutting out
Oh,
a little
sorry,
bit.
man.
That's all right.
Yeah. You want me to run it by you again?
Yeah. What did you say? Not a TF2
Yeah,
head, right?
Overwatch. Not a TF2 head. Overwatch is my first competitive shooter.
Straight onto Lucio.
But
That makes sense.
Lucio was a reroll. First, I was a flex support.
Oh,
For one
really?
map, a soldier player, and then eventually a Lucio coach.
What did you play on Flexible?
Yeah. Zen, but
Just
I
mainly
think
Zen.
it's kind of hard to call it playing these heroes.
Yeah.
Like it was such a different time. It's like 6 years ago versus a bunch of Australian teenagers. Like the standard of competition was pretty low. So I kind of like once you immerse yourself in Overwatch League for a couple of years, it kind of feels embarrassing to talk about what you used to do playing Overwatch back in the day because it's like, yeah, these kids were all doing that with their eyes closed while I was playing. So yeah.
Yeah, actually, and a lot of the players now they were like actual children. Like you were grinding
No,
out. Yeah.
genuinely, it's like even on my team back then, it was like there were just actual children there too. Like the best players on the team were actual children, and then there's just me, just slonking orbs, missing every shot. Like it wasn't great.
Well, they say those who can't do teach, right? Those who can't do coach.
That's exactly why I'm a coach,
Hey,
genuinely,
there it is.
because I had the moment of realization at the end of 2019. I was like, you know what, I'm definitely not going any further than this level as a professional player. So I guess let's find something else to do because it's just not getting any better.
What was it? What was the first team you jumped into, like as a coach?
British Hurricane,
Oh, right, yeah,
the
okay.
UK ones. Yeah, I kind of like went straight from player to just like a good team, and then straight to Overwatch League like right after. It was like the quickest player, like tier two shitter player into like professional tier one coach transition ever. Because I knew a guy that knew a guy that got me a tryout for British Hurricane, and the boys, one of which is just sitting next to me. He just liked the way that I talked or something, even though I had no clue what I was saying. So there was a job in that for me. And then on Los Angeles Valiant, same year, Gumba quit to go coach Valorant, and
Oh,
Packing
yeah,
10,
yeah.
the head coach of Valiant at the time was like, I really like this Australian guy on my team. If only there was this kind of vaguely similar Australian guy that I could replace him with. And then Gumba's eyes light up and he's like, you know what? I actually know a kind of similar Australian guy that you can replace me with. And then I was in Overwatch League with no experience whatsoever.
Wait, that's actually insane. That's the
Yeah, it was
esports
very
way.
lucky.
That is just the
Yeah,
esports
I
way.
mean,
You know a guy that
it's
knows a guy that
the
knows a guy.
whole. Yeah, well, it's I don't know if nepotism networking. I'm not quite sure what you want to call it. It's like you get a tryout for a team because you know a guy that knows a guy, and then if the people on the team like you stick around. It's usually how it goes. And then we've just had an endless string of people like hanging about. So
I mean, it's all about
here we
being
are.
personal, boys. I mean, same with casting as well.
Yeah,
Like I say this a lot. I think I talked to Astro about this too, but just like as long as people don't hate you, you're kind of okay. Like you're good. As long as you don't
yeah,
get people
yeah.
to pat you down or anything.
It's like as long as people don't mute you when you talk,
Yeah,
casters
right.
and coaches, they can both get by with that mantra, I think.
You don't
But
get
yeah, I mean,
muted.
yeah, as long as you can talk and people kind of like the sound of it, maybe there's a potential as a coach or a caster for someone in the room.
Yeah,
That's how I think about it.
that's kind of facts actually.
Yeah.
I never really thought about it that way. Just as long as you don't get
Yeah.
muted 50% of the time, you're good.
Yeah, well, I might be known to mute Overwatch broadcasts when I watch them.
That
Like
doesn't surprise me.
it's not like I've got a hatred for casters or anything, but it's honestly just a bit distracting. There's just a lot going on. It's easier to watch it without the sound.
It's all coming out
Yeah.
now, mate. It's fine. Overwatch League. I'm not sure if it's going to be around next year. I don't know what's happened to Overwatch
Oh,
Esports,
you're not
so
sure about that?
not
Yeah,
sure about that. So yeah,
I think
it can
everyone's
all come out
loosened
now.
up a bit.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It is interesting to see the kind of. I don't know if you noticed this too. It's kind of changing attitude towards that because man, when we went into Toronto, like the grand finals and stuff, like it was kind of looming over everybody that was like, I don't think this is gonna happen. Like, is this gonna happen next year? Like, what's gonna happen? And like, I think the audience were feeling that too. Did you feel any kind of way
Yeah.
like going into the finals?
Oh, absolutely. Like I was there with London as just like a little piece of furniture or something that they were lugging along for a laugh. But yeah, I definitely felt like a pretty big sense of finality at the event. Just being like, oh wow, this is a really big event. This is really good. We're probably not going to have any more of these, at least not current format. It was
Yeah,
a little bit sad to be honest. Like throughout the whole play, I was thinking like, oh, this is actually great, but this is the end of the line. And
yeah.
I think that like to some extent everyone felt that, unless you were completely delusional. I think there were a couple of young boys in the league that lived in such a bubble that they didn't realize that maybe next year they're not going to have a job. But I think most people with any semblance of a clue, knew it was pretty much the end of the line.
It did feel like it was right on the wall for sure. And like, obviously, with Zoe's speech at the end, I was like, that was holy.
Yeah, well, once the talent starts like basically crying on broadcast, being like, "Yeah, we had a good run, fellas," it's
Yeah,
like, "Oh,
yeah.
okay, fuck it, it might be the end of the run." Like, oh shit.
It was
Uh,
it was definitely like a tonality shift, which it did feel kind of strange. Like
yeah.
obviously with that whole kind of looming over everybody, what was the kind of feeling in the teams and stuff too? Like when you were coaching in your last year, like was there any kind of sense
Um,
of dread in a way, or
I think with gladiators, it definitely like would have contributed a lot. Just for what it's worth, I kind of like missed the second half of the gladiators season, so I actually can't talk too deeply into like what people were feeling as the team tumbled into oblivion. So because I wasn't there, so I'm not
yeah,
100% sure. But I definitely think that like throughout the year, we were on Gladiators, and Gladiators was the team that, at the beginning of the year, the Guard fired absolutely the parent organization, the Guard, fired absolutely everybody. So already we knew we were completely fucked. Like internally, they said to us, we have no intent of exiting the Overwatch League. You guys are going to be fine for years to come. They gave us like the corpo bullshit, basically
right.
saying like, yeah, everything's fine, just keep working along, slaves. But we're not completely brain dead, so we knew like we're fucked at the end of the year. There's no future here, and I think that definitely contributed to people losing a bit of motivation and getting a bit down on everything because it's like, we're kind of just here for nothing. And then like throughout the year at Gladiators, like they took more and more away from the team. There's like budget cuts to the food, stuff like that. All the content is gone. There was basically just nothing left by the end. So I think that definitely contributed to people losing motivation. And then I just flipped over to London Spitfire. They just welcomed me with open arms after we got knocked out because I came back to Gladiators for the very final week of their season. and then I just went over to the London house 10 minutes down the door, 10 minutes down the
Oh, they were
road.
10 minutes down the street. Wow, that's kind of
Yeah,
sick.
no, they're really close. So I just went to the London house day after we got knocked out and started hanging about with them instead. It was actually so like a cockroach or something, just going from one team to another. Um, then they didn't seem to have that much negativity. You know, they had the perspective that that things were probably fucked going into the next year, but at the same time, there was just a little bit more like we're just happy to be here kind of thing. You know, they were more just appreciative for the situation that they were in rather than sad that it was going to be over was my perspective. So I think that like for London, it didn't really affect them negatively at all because they were just happy to be there. They just wanted to play Ryan.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, that was the talk I had with Hardy as well. It's just like, we're just chilling. We're just vibing out,
Yeah.
playing Ryan, just like, yeah, just doing our own thing. Like, I think that's the best way to be in those kind of times, you know? Like, it definitely felt strange. Well, from my personal perspective, like, it did feel kind of weird going into that event and, like, that whole, like, last year. I'm like, oh, man. Going into the studio, like, every weekend, I was like, holy shit, this is sick. Like, and then as weeks go by, you're like, oh, God, there aren't many days left. They were like, oh,
Yeah.
last weekend. And I went into the last weekend and I was like, oh, God, this is our last weekend in the studio. I was like, holy shit.
So the actual last week at work
Yeah, I
before
was
it all
like,
just closes up.
what the fuck? And then obviously we had the grand finals and stuff. And yeah, that felt kind of messed up. But I mean,
Yeah.
enough, honestly, okay, enough about sad boy hours like at the end of the league and stuff. I did want to ask, like, what was your main kind of highlight from you working in the Overwatch League? Do you have like a one big moment you look back to and you're like, okay, was it the Unter gay sex moment? Is that the
No, I can't even remember what match that was for. Must have been a
can't
good win though, because I was just
yeah.
humping away like
Yeah.
furiously. I'm not sure if that was like mid-season madness win or what, but I think probably like the best moment for me, it was 2021 on Atlanta Reign when we beat the Los Angeles Gladiators in the playoffs because we were in the lower bracket and we knew if we beat Gladiators, we were going to run the whole bracket. Like we were just going to run everyone's shit because we'd converted everyone except for Gladiators in North America to Rhine comps, and we were the best Rhine team in the world. So it was like if we could get past the team that was hard countering Rhine, we were going to run the lower bracket all the way to grand finals. And we really thought we were going to lose to Glads because Glads just had a hard comp diff. Like we were playing Ryan, they were playing like Ball, Bap, Zen, Sigma shit, and it was so hard to play Ryan into that stuff back then. People were like, "Oh, you got 4-0 by Shanghai in the grand finals." It's like, yeah, cunt, you try play fucking Ryan into Shanghai's comp in the grand finals, dude. Like, you guys have no fucking clue how off meta we were. It was actually unbelievable.
How did you
But
manage to
yeah,
convert
beating
everybody?
Glad.
Holy
Everyone was shit at ball. You know, everyone was
yeah,
pretty
right.
shit at wrecking ball. So it was basically like lots of teams had the choice of we can grind out wrecking ball and make that work and try to play the APAC meta, or we can just square up in the mirror on Rhine and just see how far we can go. And it was like Dallas wound up putting heaps of time into Rhine. Washington Justice wound up putting heaps of time into Rhine. It's like these were all teams that had like really like I felt like really high potential on dive, but like one problem, you know, like one Winston Montreux couldn't play ball, basically, you know, fearless mag. And because they wound up squaring up in a Rhine mirror instead, it was like it goes from a challenging match versus a counter comp to just something really fucking easy because all we had to do was just load into the lobby and beat them, basically. Like we were just playing something that we were absolutely the best at, so there was just no doubt. But the Glads match was like super, super intense. We really thought we were going to lose, have like insane clutches throughout the series. Final map insanely close. Shu throws the series, Skewed throws the series, Space throws the series, and we're just fucking screaming, cheering. It was the greatest moment ever because it was like we really winning like a sixth place match made us know that we were going to grand finals. Like it was really
I mean, the dugout must have been fucking crazy at that
there's
time.
no such thing as a crazy Atlanta dugout, dude. Like everyone's so like Brad was just sitting there like having a nervous breakdown with his knees bouncing
No.
everywhere. Like it's legit RC's like he's drinking his seventh Coke because he had like a ritual that like if you crack a can of Coca-Cola before every map, we're more likely to win or something. So the guy was just like giving himself diabetes in the dugout to try and make us win. Like I don't know. It's a very superstitious team.
What
It
the
was
hell?
really
You're like
it was
lighting
so
sage and
it's so
stuff. There's
fucking
six
dumb.
candles in a perfect line on the
Genuinely,
desk and shit.
they're trying to manifest a win in the dugout. It was unbelievable.
That's some
But
crazy
yeah.
shit. I mean, I've heard of like pre-match rituals and like shit like that, but that's a little insane. That sound like ZP with like his coke addiction as well. Like he just downs Diet Coke.
Let's like clarify the Coke addiction here. You
Oh
know,
yeah,
like
yeah, no, Coca-Cola,
it's
yeah,
just
as in the drink, yeah, not
yeah, yeah.
the. Is his name legit RC? Every time I hear his name, it just reminds me of RC Cola.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I always just like to call him race car, but to each their own.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know what the RC stands
Yeah, I have
for, so
no
race car
idea.
will do for me.
Where did your name come from? Speaking of which.
It's my last name. My last
All
name's
right.
Unter, so yeah,
Okay, didn't know that. Okay, wow.
yeah, yeah. It's just the first
Where
few
does
letters of
that
my name.
name originate from? That's quite a unique one.
It's Austrian. It's my old man's name. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Got a
But I
part
just
European
like
in you.
nabbed it off a cousin. Yeah, yeah. A good full half, and then the other half, my mum's Italian, so it's like a full blown actually.
Wait, you're
Um,
just European. Wait a second.
yeah, yeah. Well, like a lot of Australians are just like they're migrants, right?
Yeah.
So like my dad's a first gen migrant, my mum's a second gen migrant, so
Damn. That's a mad
yeah.
surname, actually. That's one of the craziest ones I've ever heard, especially in like esports and stuff.
Yeah, it's like unfortunately long. It's just
Yeah.
annoying. You say anyone reads it and they're like, "Oh, can you say it for me? Oh, did I say it right?" Like, shut the. Just like, I don't want to deal with
It's
this.
just yeah, it's just
Yeah,
Unter actually. Okay, that makes
yeah,
that
that works for
actually makes a
me.
lot of sense. Have you always used that tag as well, or has there been any?
No, it's pretty much been that since I was like really young. I saw it was like my cousin's it was like my cousin's World of Warcraft login. Like
Oh yeah.
I was like 7 years old and I was at his house and I saw that and I was like, I like that. That works for me too. I'm gonna copy that. And yeah, I think I took it a little further than he did in the video gaming space.
Wow, dominating your cousin, quite literally.
Yeah, but he's like married with kid, so
Okay,
he's
yeah,
winning somewhere
okay.
too.
In general life, he's winning, but like esports and gaming, yeah, W for
Yeah,
you.
no, in like internet podcasting and video game coaching, like I'm just blowing him out of the fucking water. So
You're playing WoW right now, aren't you? Classic Seasons Discovery, right?
I'm not really like a classic player, but I started it like 15 minutes ago, before we started this
Okay,
episode, just
fuck.
because I've kind of got like nothing to do at 1 in the morning in Riyadh. So yeah, I just started the season of Discovery, and it's like, oh wow, I haven't played this and been in this environment since I was 7 years old. So it's a little bit of nostalgia or something, but I don't want to get too deep into like the WoW classic grind because yeah, I mean, I might just piss my whole life away. This is the time where you're supposed to like be productive and get a new job post Overwatch League,
Yep.
not get addicted to classic. So
Dude,
yeah.
I'm on the exact same boat where I'm like, I have to be doing 7 different things in like various spaces and all this kind of stuff in order for me to feel like some sort of like gratification in my life right now. Because I'm like, oh god, like this is a long and weird off
Yeah.
season. Like, fuck yeah, and I do. That's why I'm not playing RuneScape right now. Old school RuneScape. So I'm not touching that because I know I'll just like piss hours away just playing that shit and playing Iron Man. It would be disgusting.
I think it's fair enough, because like there's like a guilty pleasure time sink that you can just give your life away to. But at the same time, if you're in a period of uncertainty, as tempting as it might be to get into that time sink, you might also want to focus a little bit on getting a job. So
Yeah, focus on that a little bit.
yeah,
Hey, you never know. Have you got any like hopes,
yeah.
obviously, for the Overwatch space going on? Because everybody's very doomer about it, but I don't know how you feel.
Um, I think I'm a bit doomer about like the coaches, so that's me, unfortunately. But I think for players it'll be pretty good, at least for the players that I've been like interacting with over the past few years. Because I think like most of the teams that I've been on, there's been like some really talented players, and I think they'll all be just fine. The up and comers in tier two as well, they'll like meld into the tier one really seamlessly. I think I'm mostly doomer for like the Korean scene, to be honest, because I think they're the
Right.
ones that just get fucked the hardest. Because like with Overwatch League being in North America, lots and lots and lots of Korean people get jobs paying pretty decent money over here in NA. But now that the scenes go domestic, all of those Koreans have to go home. And there's not going to be that much money up for grabs outside of prizing. And they're all going to have to compete for that. Like there's too many Koreans that are good at the game. I don't know if I would go as far as to say that Koreans ruined Overwatch League, but Koreans are definitely like, because they're way, way, way better at Overwatch
Yeah.
on average, I'd say there's too many good Koreans. Like every flex support player is a fucking Korean player. Um, it's going to be way more competitive for them to actually earn a decent income playing the game. Whereas if you're in North America or if you're in Europe, I feel like there's going to be like at most 2 or 3 teams that are competitive tier one. There's just going to be a couple of teams that farm up all the money, and all of those players will be just fine and probably happy with the situation. And then everyone else doesn't earn that much, but like whatever.
Do you think there'll be imports and stuff too? Because it just kind of, if it does go domestic with like, we'll
Mm.
say like a Korea, China, maybe, right? North America, Europe. Like, if you look at League, this is a conversation we had on Plat Chat. There might just be like imports or like an import rule potentially.
Yeah, I mean, I think there might be like an import rule. for like the contenders type tournaments, but because nothing has been announced about what's happening
Yeah,
yet,
right,
like
right.
there's no org involvement for the longest time, you know? Like if it's an import, it's like a dude playing online. When you're playing on 150, 180 ping, like you're so disadvantaged already that like the fact that you're an import barely matters anymore, you know? Like you can take a Korean player and put them on high ping and they might look equal skill to the American player. But in reality, they might be much better. But if no one's flying them out, getting them a visa, sitting them down in
Yeah.
NA, like what's the point, you know? So you really need like some org involvement.
I mean, the
Sorry.
visa. Oh, there he is. The visa.
Mm.
What's up, Hardy? Yeah, the visa is always a big problem for literally everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I think if there was org involvement and there was like some serious announcements about what's actually happening next year, it would be way easier to say what's going to happen, right? But
Yeah, right.
right now, there's zero organizations and zero tournaments announced other than fucking flash ops on the internet. So like,
Yeah,
I don't
right.
see people getting imported to another country for that as it
Not for
stands.
flash ops. I don't think so. There was that. There was
Yeah.
that crazy Korean contenders. Oh, not Korean contenders. North American contenders team that was all in. That was all Koreans. That what are they called? 120 ms or something. And they were like
Oh,
really
yeah,
decent.
it was like 220 ms because I like to just lie about their ping number for no
Yeah.
reason. But yeah, I remember that team did pretty well. I think it had like Venom and
Yeah,
someone
some
else
like
decent
good
on it.
players
Like,
on
I
it.
don't. Yeah, no, that was a pretty legit team. But again, like they weren't even coming. Like, I don't think they came top three. Maybe they came fourth. You know, like the ping is such a huge handicap. I forgot to talk about coaches. Um, from the Duma perspective,
Yeah.
I think coaches are like way more fucked than the players though, because like the players can farm up all that money from all these local tournaments where they're just way better than the competition. Like you got like your Kevsters and stuff that are just gonna they're just gonna like they're gonna fuck in the local scene. You know, they're gonna go back to Europe and they're gonna be shooting Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck walking in straight lines. Like they're gonna do they're gonna do really well. But if that's free money for them already, a lot of these players like they don't really want coaches, you know? And like to pay a
Right.
coach, no org, you need to take it out of your own pocket, right? Like you need to give up prize money. And I think that's like a bit more of a difficult compromise if people are like super confident that they're already the best. Like if people have been developed in tier 1 for years and they feel like, "Oh, I'm really good now. I don't need a coach anymore." Then coaches don't get paid anymore. You know, maybe there's like one or two coaches coaching these top teams and getting a little bit of prize money. But I think it's almost guaranteed to be earning less and less secure than what it was when you're in Overwatch League and you get a year-long contract getting a wage.
Yeah. I mean,
So I'm a doomer for myself, but
it,
less so for the players.
it makes sense. No, it does because it's always like the players are going to get the money first. The players in the org potentially, if they've got an org, get the money first, and then obviously
Yeah.
the staff behind it. So yeah, I mean, it does make a whole lot of sense, and
I
obviously it kind of sucks. Like it's, I can see why you're like maybe an extra level of doomer about the whole situation.
yeah. I think if orgs are involved, then coaches are like they're just way better off immediately because
Yeah, for
orgs
sure.
want coaches. Orgs want someone that is like perhaps older, perhaps more mature. I'm not sure if I count in mature base, but basically they want someone to be there that isn't just the players.
Yeah,
Running the team and keeping things in check. So I think once orgs are involved, it's a lot easier to have a job as a coach because typically orgs want coaches.
yeah. They
But
need someone
I
to
think when it's
corral the
just
players
players,
too.
pretty much, yeah. You know, it's good to have someone at the top, and if it's just a player-run team all the time and there is no management figure, then or coach, essentially, it gets a little more. And
Yeah,
right now there are no orgs, so
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. I mean,
Mm.
hey, time will tell. Christmas is around the
Yeah,
corner. It's December 1st, but there's the timestamp for the video. It's December 1st. It's
it's December 1st.
yeah, I know. It's insane how quickly the year passes, man. I was thinking about this the other day because obviously you've been in the Overwatch scene since Contenders, and even before that kind of thing. I've been casting Overwatch for 7 years in like two
Hmm.
weeks or something. Like my first like official
Oh
event or
wow.
whatever, and which is crazy. And like I'm like, where the fuck is the time gone? I'm like 30, bro. Where the fuck? What the fuck's happened?
Yeah,
This
no, it's really like a blink and you miss it kind of thing. Like I started playing Overwatch when I was I want to say like in my first year of university, maybe first, very beginning, second year of university. I started playing like I went to a friend's house, played on his computer, like some silver ranked game or
yeah,
something. Like, wow, this is fun as fuck. I'm going to get into this. Um, and then suddenly I'm 26 and I've been working this as a full-time job for like 4 years. And it's like,
right.
where the fuck did my life go? Like it got away from me real fast. Um, I started and I was like, so when I started competing, I was so explicit that it was like that this is a joke and like I'm gonna stop when I finish university, I'm just gonna go get a job and I'm gonna stop it. And then it's like by the time I'd finished university, I had a job offer in the game and it was like, why would I take the real job when I can take the fake job? You know, like I love the
Yeah.
fake jobs.
Yeah, what? Hey,
So
why
why would I take
not?
the real job?
You just got to ride it
Yeah,
while it lasts, and that's one of the big things too with the esports. At least it's not riding while it lasts. That sounds kind of bad, but it's just like, well, you're probably never going to get this opportunity again, so okay.
yeah, that's exactly how I rationalized it. You know, it's
Yeah,
like I can get a I can get a job with my degree anytime in my life, but
exactly.
can I get a job watching people play Overwatch and talking funny about it? Probably not. You know, this is probably a one and done. So might as well strike while the iron's hot.
My headset's been playing up over the last few days. Sorry, hang on. The battery system. I think it's broken. Apologies, I can't hear you, but I did want to ask actually, what's your degree? What did you study?
I did a Bachelor of Science in pharmacology, so like
Oh, oh.
pharmaceutical science, basically. But yeah, it's totally worthless, you know. Like it's just
I don't think
I'm
that's
not.
that worthless. A pharmacology.
People always say that, but it's like, you know, if I want to be like a pharmacist or something, go back and do a master's, like I need to study more.
Oh right.
I think it's more like at this point with how my interests have developed since starting undergrad and completing it, it's more like evidence that I can learn and I'm capable of finishing a university degree than actually like a direct feed into any real sciencey job.
I
So
feel like that's every degree nowadays. Unless you're like going
yeah, I
on to do a
guess.
master's and stuff, like it's just getting your foot in the door. It's like, oh, I've got a degree though. Like I paid all this money, got a
Yeah,
degree. Actually, do you pay student loans in Australia? How's that
you
work?
pay a bit, but it's like, you know, it's like 13,000 US dollars for the whole. It's not all that much.
For the whole thing, or is that per year?
Yeah, like there's
Oh
about
shit,
that for the whole thing. Yeah, it's not a lot,
bro, we
and
got
you don't have
scammed
to
in
pay
it.
it up.
Okay, Australia's at the bottom then for cost, then it's the UK, then it's America then. Because like my student loan, although our student loans get written off when we're like 55 or something,
Oh,
and
it goes away.
it just disappears. Yeah, like it goes
Oh,
away.
that's nice.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. But
Yeah.
my loan actually, I was just on the cutoff of when they changed the student loan, so I got the higher rate compared to everybody else. My like friend that was doing the same degree as me just before I did, a year before me, he paid like 20 grand or something, and I paid 50. I
Oh
got
wow, that's a
yeah,
pretty significant difference.
yeah, I got fucked a little bit, but it's just like I've only just started paying it off. It's kind of insane, and I
What
only pay like
what'd you
$200.
study?
Computer games programming and design.
Okay,
So
so can you code or something? Like,
not
what's your
anymore.
hard skill off the back of it?
Not
Okay, so
anymore.
it's
Yeah,
fallen off.
I fell off. I fell off really hard actually. It is what it is. And like I went through the degree. I enjoyed like the design aspect, and I enjoyed programming to a certain extent. But then I was like, then I found casting. And I was like, wait, this is wait a second.
Yeah,
Let me
no,
just make all the
it's a lot of fun.
documentation while my project mate Alex at the time. How about you make the game? Like, what trade offer? You make the game, I make all the documentation, and do all the presentations and everything else as well because I can speak in front of camera. So
Oh, so you're getting like casting practice the whole time, you know? Like,
exactly, I was
yeah,
literally
yeah.
doing all the presentations and all the documentation, and everything else, and I was presenting. And well, I did some of the game to be fair, like our final year project. Or whatever. I didn't do nearly as much,
I see, I see.
but it worked out, baby. And I got a degree in it,
Yeah,
so maybe that works for later on in the future. I don't know.
yeah. You know, maybe in like your mid 30s or something, it pays a huge dividend for you. You know,
Exactly.
but
Maybe it
who
pays off.
knows?
If not, then I'm just homeless somewhere. I don't know, bro. I don't know where esports is taking me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, now it's a bit of a roller coaster. Nobody knows where they're headed.
Exactly. Yeah, I do wonder, especially over the next couple of years, how like Overwatch ends up panning out. Because I don't know if you follow like any other scenes or anything, but Apex just announced they're doing like this partnership program with their teams for ALGS. So it's like TSM and Luminosity and like a ton of other teams that have like been in the game previously. Um,
Hmm.
Now they're getting this partnership. They're getting like a stipend, some financial incentives. I'm assuming that means make content or like do something, not sure. And then in-game microtransactions are going to get put forward for them as well, so they'll get a little bit of that. And
Yeah,
it was like everybody is now like, okay, actually, this partnership model goes crazy. Like,
yeah. I mean, I feel like that stuff can be really good for all of the teams. I don't know how much revenue it actually winds up generating, but it's like Overwatch has just done such a bad job at that sort of shit. Like even they tried to do like a big crowd fund for the World Cup, and it was just like the worst promoted ever. You know, like when they do the Dota TI compendium stuff, it's like everyone wants to buy that shit. You know, like you
right.
actually get sick rewards from it, and they promote it so heavily. Like everyone is. with the Overwatch World Cup stuff, it's like you boot up the launcher and it's like you can't even find it. You know? They make one skin contribute to the prize pool,
Yeah.
and they barely promo it. You know, like the day of the finals, they talk about a stretch goal where you can get a little icon hanging off your gun. It's like it's all too late and so poorly promoted. You know, I feel like Overwatch is like definitely a tier below in terms of integrating esports into their product, because someone somewhere doesn't seem to give a shit about it. But maybe I'm just like too negative about it all. It just feels like
I mean,
the integration is pretty crap.
there were definitely negatives around like promoting it as well. I will say that, because when you go into the launcher, we were talking about, oh hey, like we talked about this on Plat Chat, but like, oh, you could have a tracker, you could have like a thing at the top that says, oh, this much has been contributed already. It doesn't have to be the exact
Literally, if
number.
there was just a big fuck off bar that said this much money until the next goal, more people would buy it. You know?
Yeah, right.
Like,
And like, oh,
yeah.
these bundles contribute towards the World Cup stuff, because that was one of my main gripes. Is you go into the store and then you saw the bundles, but the only thing that told you that there was a like, oh, World Cup funding or whatever was like a little icon, a little bit,
Yeah, it
little
was.
text, little bit if you actually read into it, and it was just like, okay, well, can't this be more like Overwatch like funding the World Cups are like just, I don't know, big text like you said or something, because yeah, and then
Yeah,
no
just
one knew
wasn't happening.
no one knew what goals
Wasn't happening.
stretch goals we reached either. Obviously, the other day they just announced, or a couple of days ago they said, oh, everybody got the icon, or no, not the icons, the charms
Woo!
or whatever. I was like, yeah, okay, that's sick, but like, okay, where was that like a few weeks ago?
Yeah, where was that when we were raising money? You know, like generating hype to actually
Yeah.
increase the prize pool.
I mean, the skin was sick,
Nah,
and
I
I
guess
like the banners. I think they were kind of cool, like having team banners and stuff.
yeah,
But it was just like,
yeah.
yeah, just little misses. I think contributed to like it kind of being a little bit of a letdown. But then I don't think there were too many people working on the World Cup to begin with. I would imagine it was quite a small team. So yeah, disappointing.
It
In
feels
that
like the
regard.
dev team is it must be smaller at this point. You know, like they can. I see a lot of like public complaint about how like Blizzard pays a bit low, like lower than industry average and stuff like that, and lots of
Right.
people quitting the developer side. So I guess it's understandable. But again, like when there's like lots of small misses like that, it's just a bit more frustrating when it's like this is already such an established thing. You know, it's like we are not the first game to do a crowd funded prize pool based on in-game incentives. You know, like there's a really clear framework of how you can do this to make it successful with other titles already. So like, how do you fuck it up this badly? You know, how do you make it something where you can't find the skins? No one knows how much is being raised. There is no hype. There's no promotion. You know, it's like someone just mustn't fucking care at that stage. You know,
Just got to promote it
though the
more.
people directly though the people directly working on it are like super passionate. You
Yeah,
know, like you go to the World
they
Cup
are.
and you see you know, like War Chief Fernando. I don't know his preferred naming is in public, but you know, like he's super passionate about the product and actually makes for like a really good really good event. But you know, I'm not sure like behind the scenes how much people seem to actually care about things like the World Cup and Overwatch Esports.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of esports heads that you meet, and they're not really that publicly facing. Some of them are, some of them aren't. But like, you can see the passion. Like Bailey on Twitter, like they're super
Hmm.
passionate about esports and like World Cup and like
Yeah,
all this other stuff. And it's just like, oh, that's really sick, you know, Fernando, like you said. And it's just kind of like, this is really cool. But like, just the Play Overwatch Twitter account, please, please, I'm begging you, just
yeah,
tweet,
just one time, just one time.
just tweet, just tweet a few times how much money we've got for the next tier or whatever. Like, yeah, it's. I mean, the World
Yeah.
Cup was fun overall, I think. I think it was an enjoyable experience for most. Although I will say, obviously, the biggest meme about the whole World Cup I found was the cutting away from World Cup to the main stage of like BlizzCon, the opening
Oh yes,
ceremony.
yes.
And it made sense in a way. It's just like, okay, we do need to broadcast the opening ceremony, but like, please, on one channel, please just leave the game up. Like, it was just like, man.
Yeah, it seemed like they just didn't have the means to do that. You know, like
Yeah.
there was one broadcast channel and it was all for the mainstream, so there was no like sub stream for the games.
It was kind of
Unfortunate,
funny
really. And
sitting in that with Connor in the companion stream. It was like, I guess we're watching the opening ceremony, which I wanted to watch to begin with anyway. But I'm like, I kind of want to watch the other game, like the games happening.
yeah,
Like,
we were like sitting in the crowd and we're like standing up in the stands, peering over to see like, oh, I think they're getting full cap right now. Like, you know,
yeah.
we can like you can see the corners of New Queen Street, and we're like, oh yeah, Canada's getting fucked.
Something's happening. I think Canada's
Yeah.
getting rolled. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You look at their body language and it's like, oh yeah, this is a Korea win, I think.
Yeah, a W. Yeah. Speaking about World Cup, then, like, obviously, Saudi ended up winning. Was that like a big surprise? I don't know
Yeah.
if you like scrimmed them or what was the kind of general sentiment going
Um,
into the event.
I
I
mean,
wasn't there or
we
anything.
scrimmed we scrimmed them, but I mean, we're Team Australia, so we're in
Right.
a we're gonna get fucked by a lot of teams when we scrim them. Like we're a bit of a tier below in Saudi. Like basically the top 8, right? So there's basically we didn't know that Saudi were going to win based on scrims. I think that Saudi was like criminally underrated going into the event
Right.
because there's been a lot of really good players in Saudi for a long time, and then like up and comers like people like Quartz and Lebda, where it's like they're really really skilled and everyone thinks that they're shit because they don't compete internationally. So I
Yeah,
think that they were
Quartz is
definitely like a
really good.
slept on team. Oh, I mean, I think Quartz is the best player in the world, like 100%.
Yeah.
People like Lip and Shy, like maybe they go even on Surgeon. Maybe they're all like a similar level on Surgeon, but Quartz is like the new generation player. Like Quartz on Bastion versus those other two on Bastion. It's not even close. It's not even the same universe.
Right.
And like Quartz is an 18-year-old school kid. Like that guy is going to continue to grow and get better and better. Lip and Shy, like these guys are on. I'm not saying they're washed, right? But these guys are on like the back ends of their careers, right? Like the new heroes are going to come out, the role is going to change more and more. They're going to struggle to keep up compared to someone like Quartz, I would say. I think Quartz is more like, future, the new generation Overwatch 2 FPS. Whereas Lip and Shy, these are like the front runners from Overwatch 1,
Yeah.
staying at the top because they were so far ahead before. Um, so I think that like Quartz was just like insanely underrated going into the event, but the whole team was underrated too. Still, I didn't think they were going to win. I thought USA was probably going to be better in the mirror, but I think USA must have just had like a bunch of chokers on their roster. Like it had to be something like that because like their performances was so fucking bad
It
in like
was,
both of
yeah.
those matches. Like they've got like really really high talent on the roster. I don't know if it's actually the same talent level as Saudi because it turns out Saudi was insanely skilled, but it was just crazy to see how hard USA flopped. And I thought USA were probably my favorites, but I guess China losing the grand final as well. I feel like there was an element of choke in that too. Like China, they're up 2-0. They had like many opportunities to close out,
Yeah. Oh
and they just like
God.
they're just hard stuck second place at the World Cup. It's like
Yeah.
leave. He every time he saw an opportunity to win the game, he was like, actually, I think I like second place. Let's start again.
Let's just
Yeah.
randomly die. Just lose this team
That's
fight.
just random.
Thoughts on that?
I mean, to be fair, like the random deaths versus the Saudi double flex comp, like it's pretty understandable. Like there's, it's really fucking hard to play.
Yeah,
It's
their
really
backline's
hard to
pretty
play
insane
versus that.
too.
Yeah, I mean, like China was just playing like the highest skill cap comp ever.
Yeah.
They finally got punished for it after stomping through the bracket.
It was a good event. I did really enjoy the finals. I think as well the Korea China match is Korea China. Was that another reverse sweep? Man, there was
The
Korea
the whole
China.
day, the whole final day was insane.
Yeah, it was the
Like just
most.
the best day of Overwatch ever.
Yeah, one of the best days ever. And
Yeah,
like, yeah, I remember that Korea China match because I tweeted out, I was like, this is potentially one of the best games ever broadcasted. Like it
yeah,
was just so unbelievably like high level. It was insane. And obviously, then
yeah,
finals was just like, well, I fucking Saudi reverse sweep because they're fucking just beasts. It was man,
yeah.
it was
The
fucking
whole day
great.
was. It's like 4 map 5s. You get to see
Yeah,
the best, like one of the best dive mirrors in the world, one of the best sig mirrors in the world, and the best like sig v counter comp. Like it was just you got to see everything in the matchup. Like all of the matches had like a different matchup that was really fun to watch, and at the same time, like all to map 5. It's
yeah,
so cool, so good.
it was a sick day. And that's
And I
like,
had
hey,
COVID and was half asleep.
oh fuck, oh yeah, COVID. Holy
Yeah, everyone got COVID. It was.
yeah, I know some of the talent got COVID too. Oh, well, I wasn't
Yep.
there, so I'm
Nah.
chilling in LA.
Licking too many windows,
Yeah, clearly, definitely. Some of the talent members. I mean, Scott for sure. Shaking hands, kissing
without a
babies.
doubt.
That guy was. I mean,
Of
yeah,
course.
World Cup was sick, and I'm saying like, dude, Overwatch esports is fucking beautiful. Like, if you just watch like how teams play and like you just watch those games, you're like, how could you not love Overwatch esports? Like, even just as a more casual viewer, I'm like, these are the best motherfuckers in the world, and you've seen them like clash head to head, map fives, reverse sweeps. Like, this is what Overwatch is about. Like, come on, esports.
Yeah. Well, you were asking me about like the Toronto, like, did you feel that sense of like finality and
Yeah,
sadness and stuff? I actually felt that way more at the World Cup.
really.
Because that was like the actual last event that I had like lined up. It's like this is the last thing that I know I'm going to endure, and after this I don't know. And it was kind of like a little completion of a loop for me. I quite get that in the camera, but I was like finishing a loop for me because
Yeah,
in 2019 I went to the World Cup as a player, and then in 2023 I went to the World Cup as the coach of the same team. To achieve basically the exact same result too. And it was just like it was coming full circle basically. And I thought, it started like this. Maybe it's ending like this too. Not actually entirely sure whether it is the end now, but
yeah.
there's definitely a lot of the doomer perspective that I've already given you about what's going on going.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to, especially in that rut, because I think a lot of casters get that way too, especially even at the end of like last year, the year before, like it's still like, holy crap, what happens next? You know, you're just waiting with bated breath, like what's going to happen, even though if you kind of know Overwatch League is going to be a thing, or obviously with this, in this case, like probably not, right? Like it's it's always a weird, difficult time of year, but this year feels extra like, whoa. Whoa,
Yeah,
okay.
no, this year is kind of like doubling it in terms of
Exactly.
uncertainty because now the employer has actually disappeared, so we're just waiting for someone else
The
to
employer is gone.
swing on by and be like, hey,
Left the
you want a
building.
job?
Yeah, you want a
Yeah.
job. Is there anything you'd go into if you say Overwatch Esports like didn't happen? What would be your plan, like, or what would you want to go into?
I
If
mean, I th- I think I could continue to do the coaching stuff with what I'm doing right now. You know, like I'm in Saudi Arabia right now with Twisted Minds, right? So I think that is probably something to carry on, unless it turns out that the team didn't really get along with me and I and I don't get re-offered. So I think I still have that in the back pocket. And I did consider like now we're doing like myself, Christopher, Commander X, we're doing like this podcasting
yeah,
crap,
that's good.
just like Xavier asked to do like a podcast type thing, and I've had like maybe potential chance at doing like some desk analyst type stuff here for the Saudi E leagues. So I thought maybe that's something worth exploring on the talent side, but I don't think that like jumping from coach to talent is like the it's like jumping from one unsustainable career to another, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
all the talent right now is already established and me jumping into that, it's like I could give it a go and I think I could be okay at it. But I'm not entirely sure like, am I just wasting my time trying? Um so I think, my passion is probably like still more in the coaching than anything else. But I guess, I might have a crack at something
Good.
more geared towards like the desk analysis casting type
Yeah.
shit. Like coming up in December, I'm going to do like co-streaming casts of the Flash Ops games with stuff like that. Just to have more than one thing under the belt as having attempted it,
Yeah.
and
Definitely.
see how I go. But like we'll see how it goes. I don't really have a concrete plan.
If it wasn't esports though, what is there anything you
Oh,
kind of
get
what's
get
like? Would it be
it.
pharmacology, or are you just like, I don't
No,
want to think about that?
probably not. Probably not, to be honest. I think like to get a job in that field, I'd be getting some job as a lab technician. And be like, yeah, I feel like the last 4 years of your work experience isn't super applicable to sitting in the lab in the coat pipetting. So maybe there's like a requirement for some further study for something like that. Maybe I just wind up working some average IT related job. Like every person in the universe that wraps up in esports winds up working on a computer in one way or another. So I don't have a what the future career path is. Like
I mean, that's
probably
very
wind up
fair.
sitting behind my computer one way or another.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I don't think a lot of people in esports think about that. To be fair, as well, like going into a different career path completely outside of esports, because it's not. I don't know if it's all consuming. Is that the right way to put it? But it does very much feel like that, because every time I step out of like esports, I like go back home and visit my mum and dad and stuff like that, or I see my brother or whatever. I'm like, wow, there's a lot of shit going on outside esports. Like, and
Yeah,
we're in
yeah,
our own little bubble, our own little sphere. I'm just like, this is really weird.
yeah. I
It's
think
weird to
that
step
every
outside.
time I see you see the family at Christmas or something like that, and it's like, oh wow, yeah, everyone's life really is continuing forward. Everyone's careers are changing stuff like that. But for me, my feeling is mostly like, if you're not hopeless, you can always change career. You can always find something to do. And I'm happy to like for as long as I'm involved in esports, I'm happy to like give it my all, so to speak. I don't really want to like do a simultaneous. Oh yeah, I'm coaching in esports, but I'm also studying, but I'm also working this job at the same time. Unless it's something that's like financially required. Like
Yeah,
the only way
definitely.
that I can work in esports is by working two jobs. But if esports is paying a full time wage, I'd like to give the full effort to esports. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
definitely something that requires a lot of like passion and effort to actually stay involved and to stay competitive in. So if you tap out and you just half-ass it, like what's even the involved, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Same with casting too. If you half-ass it, casters will know. Like other casters will
Of
be like,
course.
"You motherfucker are not doing your work," or like, you know you're bad right now. Like you got to stop being bad. Like you got to like step
Yeah.
up your game and shit. Like it's very obvious for other casters to see that in other ones, and yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
that's
I
always a
feel like
worry too.
casting seems really really competitive
It is.
with all of that stuff. It's like very very forward facing. Like such a limited number of jobs. So
Yeah,
yeah,
the
very
limit is
competitive scene.
ridiculous when you think about it. Like especially over the last few years when COVID happened, like everybody wanted to cast and like everybody was like trying to get into it and stuff, and you saw a lot of new people come up, and it was like, okay, so a few of you are pretty good, like, but there's like a million people and there's like jobs, and it's just
Yeah, genuinely. You see that,
crazy.
and it's like, wow, look at all these people casting like all these other tournaments. It's like, wow, you're great. It's like there's still no job for it. Doesn't matter. Like
Yeah,
there's, yeah, you,
there's just
you
no
don't know the right
positions.
person, basically.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
don't know the right person, or you just don't have the experience, and like, yeah, it's really, it's a very weird field, and honestly, I'd feel strange going into a normal job now. I'd be like, what the hell, like,
You reckon?
yeah, definitely. If I was like in a normal 9 to 5 or like, whatever hours or whatever I did, I'd feel a bit weird because I'm like, maybe, I'm quite competitive as a lot of people are in esports, but it would be just such a different environment for me that I would just feel a little bit out of place, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I feel that too. I just wouldn't want to work a 9 to 5 if I have the option to work in the
Yeah.
silly
Oh, yeah,
competitive gaming
definitely.
job. Basically, you definitely get to have like a lot of creative license in this sort of work. So it's nice to have like this level of freedom, even if you're occasionally held hostage by the fact that the employer disappears off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
But you know, it's a really good space to work in if
Yeah.
you.
Would you go back to Australia then? Is that the kind of, well, after
Yeah,
Saudi E
yeah.
League time with there?
Yeah, I mean, I've already gone back like once, like, after World Cup and stuff. I went home for a while, until E Leagues, because E Leagues is pretty short. You come here for like 2-3 weeks,
Yeah.
you go back home again. So yeah, I'll probably be just living out of Australia until, well, maybe indefinitely, maybe until there's like some sort of cool international esports job opportunity that opens up. It's,
Right.
and I don't know what's coming next year, so it's kind of say,
Exactly. I mean, I
yeah.
weirdly enough, I wouldn't say I'm in tune with Australian politics, but there's this guy on YouTube that I watch sometimes called Friendly Geordies,
Do
and
you
he's,
watch? Why do you watch Friendly
I
Geordies?
don't know.
Like,
I don't know. It's just interesting to me, I guess. And the whole like just the whole like bullshit that happens a lot like it with Australian politics is just interesting because I'm just completely removed from that. And like he's very funny as well. Like obviously he's a comedian, right? So I'm I don't know. It's
yeah,
just interesting. And his house got firebombed and shit. And I really like the videos of when they did the
yeah.
gambling thing and the taking not taking down the pokies, but the whole like gambling commission's a little bit suspect and all this kind of shit. It's just very
Yeah.
interesting to
I
me.
mean,
But
there's some sus stuff with that in Australia, like how, like in Sydney, the nightlife closes really early unless you're in the zoning district where the
yeah,
casino is. So more people get pushed towards the casino and shit like that. But yeah, I used to watch a lot of Friendly Geordies basically, but I stopped watching him after a while. Maybe because I moved overseas, maybe because I got like more
right.
politically disenfranchised. And he's also sponsored by one of the political parties, I think. I'm pretty sure he's a Labour Party shill, which is the
Yeah.
party that I vote for. But
Oh.
I vote for those people. But yeah, either way, like I'm pretty sure he's a Labour Party shill.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
that
he does
definitely
talk
makes me
about him
think
a
his
lot,
opinions.
to be fair. I wouldn't say I'm too affected because I'm not Australian and I don't live in Australia. So, but he does a lot of like wildlife stuff as well and like conservation stuff, which I really enjoy watching around that
Yeah,
topic. So, yeah, just really funny. I don't know if Avril watches it as
yeah.
well. Obviously, Avril's a Kiwi, but
Yeah, I didn't realize that he had international success at this point because like I haven't watched him for years. But I did see on my YouTube recommended the other day on my Saudi YouTube algorithm the rise
I
and
bet that's
rise of
crazy.
Friendly Geordies, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what's this? What's going on here?
Yeah,
I know
well,
that
I think
name.
he exploded because of the whole like his house getting firebombed. I think that
That's
was
crazy, dude. So you set your own house on fire and you become the most popular
it,
YouTuber
yeah,
ever. Like,
exactly, bro.
I
That's what
gotta
you need
try
to
this.
do. Because I
Uh,
remember even like Moist Critical was talking about it as well. Like he made a video. It's like crazy stuff's happening in Australia, and he was talking about Friendly Geordies and stuff. And I was like, man, that's insane. That now this has become like
that's
a
unreal.
thing people talk about. Yeah, it's kind of messed up.
It's rough times.
I've always weirdly enough, after speaking about how like the politics are a little bit doomer over in Oz, I'm like, I kind of want to live in Australia for a little while just to see how it is. I've got family out there, but like we haven't seen them. I haven't seen them in years, but it's it's always been a place I've wanted to live for just a little bit, just to see what it's like. But my God, it seems expensive. Like, and I live
Yeah,
in
the cost
LA.
of living is pretty high. Yeah, I feel like LA is still more expensive. I want to say, but the
I
cost of
hope
living is
so.
pretty high in Australia. Like, yeah,
Because all the house
especially like
prices are
I don't know,
just fucked, right?
house prices are like completely fucking insane, and there's been insane grocery price inflation in the past couple of years as well. Like everything is expensive. But yeah, no, they're always like perma talking about the housing crisis and the rental crisis and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And then a lot of people, they start like pointing the finger at like, foreign investors and Airbnb and this and that and the other. But I don't know.
Just
This
clued
is the
out
deep
now.
dive on Overwatch. I'm not. Yeah, I don't know. I can't have like an informed opinion. I don't know enough.
Yeah, neither do I, to be fair. Like, I know that's kind of happening in the UK as well, to be fair, as well, with London, and how a lot of London is owned by just foreign investors and foreign entities. And it's just like, I don't think this is okay. This seems kind of bad because all these houses in London are just empty and no one does anything with
Yeah,
them.
I think a lot of people are on like the like the protectionist policy train where they like want to curb foreign investment. I think there's like a lot of like Chinese foreign investment in like every like major city basically, at least in Australia. And people don't seem to fancy that nowadays as much as they used to, I guess. Prices are going up and shit like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's hard. Sometimes it's hard to tell. How much of this is like xenophobia and how much of this is like an actual problem affecting house prices
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Because
So,
it quickly turns into like a racist problem where it's like,
right.
everyone's complaining about the damn Chinese people buying all the houses, but it's like, I don't know how much of that is actually.
Maybe that's not the issue. Yeah. Maybe that's not the
Yeah.
problem. Yeah, I mean, all right. Moving on
Yeah.
from that, moving on from Australian
Yeah,
politics and housing crisis
that's
all
odd
across the
aside.
world. I mean, that's fine. Like I said, okay, me and Avril have got this thing where we talk about aliens a ton, and I want to see if all this
aliens.
Yes. So, okay, I was gonna. How much do you believe in aliens? Like, what thoughts on aliens?
I don't believe in aliens.
What the Aussies might. I've not actually asked.
No, I'm not.
Because Custer gets annoyed
I don't believe.
about this whole conversation.
What does he get in? What, like he's like, why the fuck are you talking about
Yeah,
aliens? Or
like me and Avril just sat there before
that's my thinking too. Like, what the fuck are you guys talking?
No, what are you saying? Like, there's been
Grow
developments
up, like,
recently.
keep questioning everything, dude. Like developments, like some dickhead in the United States being like, oh yeah, I swear it on the Bible, like I saw an alien. Come on, dude. Like, fuck out of here.
Hey, I'm just saying. There was a hearing a couple of months ago. It went kind of crazy. David Rush came forward and was like, basically, yeah, we have alien crafts and we have aliens. So you're saying you don't? You're saying you don't believe in any of that crap?
No, I don't believe in any of that.
You don't think there's things out there in the universe that, apart from us, that are living, existing on other planets?
I mean, I think there's a chance that there's something out there really, really far away, but it's like it's so far that like we can't even observe it, and it's never going to be us somewhere. Like, it's not happening.
That's disappointing to hear. Because I believe.
I mean, I'm sorry to disappoint you. Like, I bet you believe they're walking among us. You believe that one day you're gonna fucking find a pair of glasses and you're gonna realize that half the population is an alien. Like, that's
Logan Paul colorblind glasses moment where I just put them on and I can see everything.
Yeah, I forget the name of the movie, but yeah, there's some famous movie with that premise.
Oh, really? That's insane. I have not seen that film. Maybe that's something I need to watch.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll believe more.
I don't know. Maybe like one or two people get this deep into the episode and they can answer it in the comments. Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah, if you're this deep, there you go. Leave alien emoji in the comments. Boom. There you go. Interaction, baby. Let's go.
There you go. Free engagement farm.
Yeah, free engagement.
Should have put that earlier in the app though, like in the first.
Yeah, we should just sprinkle it in throughout, so like different emojis end up popping up throughout the episode and throughout the comments. I like that. It goes on Spotify as well and Apple Music. You can't leave comments. Rest in peace. Like speaking about podcasts and stuff, you obviously have Uncoachable now. With a lot of the Western boys from like Spitfire and obviously British Hurricane too, like stretching all the way back. Like obviously the Gator episode was, I would say the title was a little bit controversial, and
yeah,
it sparked a lot of like Twitter responses and criticism and whatnot.
To be honest, like that kind of irks me. Where it's like I saw like Uber complaining about it on Twitter. Like I think Avast's complaint about it was pretty like well measured. Like he gave like both sides of the complaint, and then Uber comes and he's complaining about it, and he's like, like it's on the nose, and like the subject matter is compelling. So why would you do this? And it's like, dude, like we 5x'd our viewership, and then that viewership was retained for the next episode. It's like, I get that what clickbait is and stuff, but it's like, to say, the subject matter was compelling, so you shouldn't have to clickbait. It's like, well, clearly it wasn't compelling enough, because with the clickbait, 5x the viewership. Without the clickbait, nobody was watching, Like all of our episodes had like 1,000 views, and then now we've got like 10,000, 5,000, 5,000. Like it's doing significantly better because we had one stupid clickbait from something Gator said in the episode. And if you actually watch the episode, you'll see that there's actually like a measured argument going on there. Like he's not actually saying that he hates Korean people. So I think none of us really care. And then it's funny to see
Yeah,
like the shit
definitely.
that people put on Twitter about it too, Like someone conflating the Asian hate in Dallas to Uncoachable's fucking podcast title. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, are you serious right now? Like, what are you saying?
I mean, I think most of those
Yeah.
people that make those ridiculous, outlandish comments, they don't really watch the episode either. And
Of course not. Of course not. Nobody that
yeah,
actually comments on it watches past the title.
yeah, exactly. And I would say that's a bit of an issue, like it's like a meta issue, really, with just like news headlines and like YouTube thumbnails. The Mr. Beast kind of YouTube kind of algorithm now that you have to hit. But I get it. I do understand. And to be fair, I watched the episode like through the whole thing. I
Yeah.
was like, and that was one of the first episodes I watched the whole thing. Normally I just snippets, and if there's like
Yeah.
specific topics that I'm like, oh, I'm really interested in that. I'll, like,
Timestamps or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I'll like click through or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I think it was a fairly well measured like discussion about the thing, and it was interesting, and it made me really think about how Overwatch is going to be next year. Obviously, what we talked about before, and like maybe there's going to be a region split where like EU, NA, Korea, China, whoever, like Southeast Asia, maybe that kind of thing, end up getting their own small regions like we did before Overwatch.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just made me think about that a little bit more. It was a very thought-provoking episode, despite obviously the title just claiming a shit ton of
Being-
outrage and stuff. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. I mean, look, at the end of the day, like, I think, nobody watches our podcast. We're going to clickbait to try and get people to watch our podcast.
which
Like,
is, I think it's a
come
fair
on.
tactic
And
in this day and age, as long as it's not too
Yeah,
crazy,
yeah.
too outlandish.
Whoa. What are you? Damn. Yeah, sorry, someone's just been thrown. Yeah, but maybe now we've got a bit higher of a base viewership, so it's not as important. But at the end of the day, you talk about like the algorithm and Mr. Beastification of all your thumbnails and stuff like that. I don't know. It's just how the human brain is wired.
It is,
How, like,
yeah.
every thumbnail needs to have a fucking big red arrow pointing at something on. Brain is like, yeah, I like that. I like that. I want to.
I want to click on that.
Like that's not. Yeah, that's not even the algorithm. That's just like our little chimpanzee brains, like fucking neuron activation when you see a red arrow. Like, yeah, this is
Exactly,
I like
dude.
this.
I don't know
Yeah.
if you've ever seen it, but there's an add-on you can get for Google Chrome, probably Firefox too, that
Puts Mr. Beast on
put
everything.
Mr. Beast on every thumbnail, bro. It's so
Yes.
funny. I've never installed it. I don't want to install that shit, but like seeing screenshots of just like random people's like home feeds, and then it's just Mr. Beast in every thumbnail. I'm like, that would probably be a Mr. Beast video. It's like,
Yeah, I mean, it's believable,
yeah, it is, which is the crazy thing. It's yeah, YouTube's kind of weird, man. I don't like.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
don't.
all the thumbnails are just crap.
They're just, yeah, it's just insane, and like I don't know what kind of. I guess we can get into this as well. Like, if you got any hobbies like outside of Overwatch or anything like that, but I really like fish tanks and like aquarium, aquascaping, that kind of stuff. And I also like watching like Pokemon and Magic the Gathering content. I don't think it's strayed into the fish side of YouTube yet. It kind of has, where like there's just really like this filter is terrible, and it has the picture of the filter, red X or like whatever, right? And it's, I feel like a lot of people in the hobby are a bit older and like past that kind of like need for clickbaity thumbnails and stuff. But then the Pokemon side and like the TCG side of YouTube is just insane. It's crazy. It's just like, it's like, oh my god, first edition Charizard pulled from base, and it's like Mr. Beast, crazy face, giant,
the
like,
insane.
oh my god, like it's so annoying. 18-minute video, and dude, I get it. I do understand like why people have that, but I'm like, bro, please stop.
No, I get like a lot of cooking content and stuff like that, and you can see like different creators have got like different styles, with their thumbnails and shit like that. Some of them go like super all out on like the meta clickbaiting, all the arrows and the pointing and the fucking big text and their face going. But like other people, they go for like the minimalist approach and try to be like anti algorithm or something. But yeah, it just depends on the type of creator, and usually the bigger ones do all the clickbaiting stuff, because that's, at the end of the day, that's the stuff that works, gets the most traction, gets the most neurons firing at once, basically. But then yeah, that's just the game.
It is the game, and that's the thing. That is the game that you have to play on like YouTube. I follow a few aquarium YouTube channels that there's a Korean one that I follow called, it's Mulrang or Mulbang maybe, I can't remember, but they make it's a silent video basically almost, and it's just only the sounds of them like pouring water in, like escaping things, and like, and there's Korean subtitles with English subtitles as well, but like their thumbnails are just, it's the finished product, and then it has just small text that says, oh, like the tank size or whatever, and it's just like a really nice, like smoothly edited, like calming, almost ASMR level video, like on that stuff. And I'm like, that's content that resonates with me, bro. Like really chill.
It does what it says. Does what it says on the tin. You know, like it's just simple.
That's what I'm saying.
You don't have to go bonkers for it.
Don't have to go fucking crazy. Everybody stop with the stupid ass thumbnail. It's a little bit.
We're gonna continue with the stupid ass thumbnails for Uncoachable.
Oh, I hope so. I hope so. Yeah, the one with Astro was really funny. I'm not sure what.
I don't know how he got that out of him. Yeah, no, genuinely. Like, what was he losing his mind at? I do wonder, because
if anybody's not seen it,
crazy freeze frame.
Go on the Uncoachables like YouTube. It was like Astro just like almost dying like of laughter, like demonic face, like, oh my god, it was ridiculous. Like that was pretty funny. Okay. That would make me click to see what he's laughing at.
Yeah, genuinely. You reckon that would work?
I mean, maybe.
So we didn't even need to do something suspect in the previous episode's title to get a viewer.
just need Astro
what Daniel was
doing
in the thumbnail. Like,
yeah, exactly.
No, his mouth is just wide open, like he's laughing.
Hogging, out of control. I mean, to be fair, Platchat does it as well with like not super clickbaity. There was a couple of ones that, to be fair, Johnny was like, I don't know how I feel about this one. Like, can I get like a temp check on like the thumbnail? Because normally it's just him that does them, with Uberchain makes them, and then kind of says, oh, we need this or whatever. These are the people that are going to be on.
Yep.
And there were a couple of ones I'm like, holy shit. Like, I don't think you can put that. Like, I don't think people are going to like that. Much. I don't think the right people that you want to be pleasing are going to like this fucking thumbnail, bro. Like, yeah.
Well, that's one thing about like this Uncoachable podcast, I'd say, where it's like appealing to the average Overwatch fan. I would say it's probably like not our objective podcast, right. You know, like we're not really like trying to appeal to like a specific viewer base. We're just, I guess we're looking to appeal to people that are like us, you know, trying to just talk. We're trying to just talk for 2 hours, you know. All the people that we get on the podcast so far, like they've all been friends. I guess going forward, you know, because we're going to try and like branch out the guests a little bit, you know, probably get someone Korean so we can get perspective on that sort of stuff, get some coaches that we don't have close experience and friendships with. We'll try and keep the same thing, but I imagine, you know, it might get like a little bit more serious for some of these guests, just because
it depends on the guests.
Like we don't have that same rapport, you know.
Yeah.
Like I'm probably not just gonna go in a Saurus's throat
yeah.
straight away. Like I'm just swinging at Gator and Funny Astro like there's no tomorrow, because like we're all really friends. But for someone that I don't know, I probably won't be like, you're a fucking dog shit coach. Like, yeah.
I don't know how Kasaurus would react. He seems like a very calm man.
He's like a very measured
I'm
man.
like, hey, what's up, man? He's like very chill, very calm. Like I've never seen him like ever really raise his voice or like get super like, you know. I'm not sure.
To be fair, I'm all right with him, so I could probably call him a shit coach and get away with it.
Definitely.
But you know, maybe like if we get 9K on or something, I'll
I don't know about 9K. Maybe don't start like just destroying him on the pod.
Yeah,
maybe not.
But a lot of fans probably won't like our podcast though at the end of the day, because you know we're just
I mean, to be fair, as long as
unfiltered blokes.
Yeah, I mean that's the kind of draw to it though. In a way, it's just like very like unfiltered, and just kind of you're just sitting there and you're talking about what you want to talk about, and that normally generates a better like organic grassroots viewership on like viewers and fans, more than like just kind of a little bit more tame, a little bit more held back kind of thing would do. And if you're trying to appeal to certain audiences,
I think it just won't appeal to casual viewers very much. You know? It's basically for people that are like pretty into Overwatch League, I'd say.
Yeah,
people that are pretty into Overwatch League and like into some of the players, and then want to hear about how we secretly hate all of their favorite players, basically.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna drag fucking, you know, Flower 69 in fucking solo queue, like those kind of fucking players. I don't think it's gonna drag that motherfucker.
Yeah.
So.
Nah, the Yaki fans are coming for my throat after the most recent.
I bet.
I
bet they fucking will. I mean, to be fair, they've had every fan of Yaki has had Connor to grip on to for so long, who's been the last bastion of Yaki hope and copium. That
Yeah.
maybe it would outweigh. But
Look,
even
dude,
Connor said
if
he
you
lost
don't
hope.
if you don't make play-ins 3 Overwatch League seasons in a row, you just stop coping. You just give up. Yeah.
Yeah, someone better tell Connor. I think he's still coping.
I would believe it.
That guy copes a lot. It's kind of insane,
Yeah.
actually.
I mean, what's he doing now? Because like he's not. I mean, I guess he's doing some sort of like
Well,
content thing.
he just does esports or misfits. He doesn't necessarily do like
Do
Overwatch
they
stuff,
do they
right?
even have any teams? Like
They have a COD team, kind of. I think
he's doing content kind of for the kind of content.
kind of COD team. I'm not sure what's happening with misfits and like the esports division stuff. It's difficult to say with a lot of orgs like across the board. I'd say because obviously guard don't exist anymore, and then like
Yeah, no, they
EG are like
don't.
cutting back, and it's like hard to tell where like a lot of these orgs stand in the grand scheme of things, whether they're going to collapse or stand in just like their game, in their esport. Like, it's hard
Yeah,
to tell. And obviously, Overwatch is the biggest
there's
one,
a
but I mean, even none of the games is crazy. It's like EG is like EG went from winning champs to then like, we're just cutting players and teams and like all this. What's
yeah.
happening with that team?
I do think it's like it's a financial boom industry. It's something where a lot of people get involved and pay lots of money because they want long-term growth, even though they've got short-term losses. And now we're in like
Right.
a big old global financial downturn. So people don't want to gamble as much on the future. Would rather just go with something safe.
I mean, when
Maybe
the
not pay
economy
the
is
kids to play
good,
video games.
exactly. When the economy is good, esports is normally good, and a lot of industries like that are good. And then esports is just
Yeah,
one of those industries, like the startup industry with startup tech companies that making apps, or like it doesn't have to be like apps or tech or anything, just like startups. If the economy's doing well, they're doing well because there's lots of financial investment from like the unicorns and stuff like that, and like that getting companies early and make them huge. But then there's also when the downturn happens, all that money is not really being put in stuff that's a bit more speculative.
yeah, that's a good way to put it. Actually, like the Silicon Valley startup culture is basically like how esports works. They're just trying to. They're not actually like vying for profit. They're vying for like market share in the
It's
hopes
like
that eventually their
ideas and
product is
like
revolutionary.
yeah, and like
Yeah,
with esports, it's like there's a lot of people. I feel like a lot of VCs and like venture capital out there that do invest. It's like I see a vision for this for esports or like this team, this game or whatever. Like, and I want to put money into it. Not worried about maybe making profit, like you do with a startup company. You're not worried about profit in the short term. It's on the long
yeah,
term. You're like, okay, we can make this sustainable, and like this is a good business, and it's a good thing to add. It sounds bad, but like a good thing to add to the portfolio.
yeah.
Tough, pretty tough. You said I want to go back real quick. You said there was a ton of cooking content on your YouTube. Is that what you got any hobbies outside of obviously like watch?
No, I'm just like a useless. You know, I I go out and see my mates and I do a bit of the old physical exercise. But even with the cooking, it's not like I'm replicating it. A fucking bomb. Like I'm not a fantastic cook by any. I'm more of like a cooking for survival than cooking for the
Oh
pleasure of
yeah.
anybody's taste buds. So yeah, my interests are actually pretty limited to the screen sitting. Unfortunately,
Well, apart from like WoW,
yeah.
then is there any other games you are playing? How much do you play solo queue? Because there's only been a couple of times where I bumped into you.
I don't even play video games anymore. Like I told you, I've been playing World of Warcraft for 15 minutes before
Yeah.
the episode. That was like the first time I've launched the game. I don't even play video games anymore. It's like my friends my friends will finish work and I'll play like a couple of ARAMs with them in League of Legends. It's like something that we can all do and it's fast and we can drop
Right.
in and out and go have dinner and shit like that. Or maybe we'll play some COD Warzone. Just like dudes that I've been playing games with for 7 years. But I don't actually play video games that much anymore because it's like I used to play heaps of Overwatch because I really like Overwatch. But the desire to keep getting better and better and better, that's kind of like faded over time. Kind of at the point where it's like I'm only ever going to get worse at this game. The amount of time that I put in, I'm unwilling to put lots of time in. So
Right.
it's
Yeah.
like
I mean, there's no benefit or
I don't
goal at
really
the
care
end,
for it.
right? You don't
Yeah, well
necessarily
for
have to
me,
be good, coach.
yeah, I'm addicted to like the competitive progression advancement thing. In
Right.
like every aspect of life, I'm a very 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 competitive person, I'd say. And if I'm not advancing in something feeling like I'm getting better at something or feeling like I'm getting better results in a competitive job, for instance, like I don't feel much motivation to continue. So with video games now, I don't actually play that much.
That's
Uh,
pretty fair. I
yeah.
it's strange because for myself and a lot of casters, like especially during the off season and even during the week as well, when we're not casting or anything, our schedule compared to like a
Mhm.
coach's is pretty easy. Like We're
Yeah.
watching
Oh,
VODs and scrims.
I can still hear you. It's wireless.
Oh,
Just gotta
right.
get some water.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just like VODs and scrims and stuff, obviously for coaches and whatnot. And like, obviously we watch VODs and like, if you're a caster, play-by-play, especially like you're watching your tapes and stuff to try and get better. But yeah, it's so like we have a lot of free time, so it's like streaming, playing other games and stuff. And dude, I've got back into the addiction of Magic the Gathering. Like, it is a little bit
Oh,
unhinged,
really?
actually. Yes,
You're a card man?
I'm a
I
card
see.
man. Yes, are you a
Yeah.
card man? Do you
No, I'm
dabble?
not a card man. Actually, I played Baldur's Gate recently. I played
Oh,
that
okay.
because I was back in Australia post season. I had nothing to do, so I played that. But it's not like I can call myself a Baldur's Gate player. I played a fucking single player game because I was bored. Like, but no, I'm not a card man. Not a card.
But there's too many card men. I'm just saying. There's too many people that play
It's a good,
cards. Card men and women.
it's a good thing, and like,
It
there's
is.
card men and women. You've got your Dungeons and Dragons men and women as well. Like I see like what's it, like Casters and Castles or whatever it's
Yeah,
called on
yeah.
Twitter every now and then.
It's just I'm just saying it's bad because the money it sucks out of you is crazy. Like,
Oh, really?
yeah. Well, if you want like Magic the Gathering, like a commander deck, my commander deck originally started out as like, okay, I'm gonna spend $100. So I spent like 120. I was like, oh, that's just over, bro. Like, it's just a little bit over, only
Just
20 bucks
just a
over.
little over.
And then I'm like, well, there's upgrades that could be had. And then I'm like, well, now my deck's worth like $300. And now, like,
Yeah.
I want this other deck that's like I made and I've played online, because you can play on Tabletop Simulator, and I play with like Mitch and Scott and Ashley, Mitch's wife, and we play every now and then. And I was like, oh, I made a deck and copy and pasted it in to Tabletop Sim, and I'm like, I really like this. How much does it cost? Oh, $350. Okay, sick.
Oh, geez.
That's not even expensive. That's like
Yeah.
mid tier, I'd say. Like low tier, you could go like $100 and less kind of thing. You can build decks or commander decks for that much. Like my main deck at the moment, I have in paper is $350, and like, dude, it's a rabbit hole, is what I'll say.
Yeah. I'm just like a stingy bastard, I hate paying money to any and putting in basically. So I hate like I don't do any like microtransactions for games and stuff
Right?
like that.
Yeah,
Like
that's smart
ever.
though.
So I'm a bit of a stingy prick with all that sort of stuff. So usually I try and find a game that I can like sink a bunch of time into and feel like I got some value out of my money. And it's like I think this is a mindset that it's like it's when I was younger and I like didn't have a lot of income and shit like that. But then like now I've started to like have a job and have like a well-paying job and stuff like that. But I just haven't adjusted my spending to not be a stingy prick.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe there's like a little bit more pleasure to be had in life that I'm not tapping into by being
I
arsehole.
mean,
But yeah.
maybe, but there's, like I said, there's free ways of getting around that. Like, if you want to play Magic, you can just play for free on the arena and just like grind your way to decks, or like Tabletop Sim where you just copy and paste deck lists. Like, and that's free.
Yeah.
Well, it's Tabletop Sim. It costs like $15 or whatever. Like, I would say I'm the same. I'm very stingy when it comes to money, and like I try and invest all my money that I can. Like, just put it away into because I'm in the States now, like a Roth IRA, and like just like into a brokerage account, just like putting it away, just like in very stable things that are gonna go up, like just index funds basically, right? And like, that's all I do, and I try not to spend too much money. And although saying that, I fucking recently bought one of these. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but
Oh yeah. I think Chris just bought one of those too, actually. Like
they
at the end
are
of the season.
fucking sick. Like, it was $550 on sale, down from like 700 or something. But still, I felt so guilty by it. But like, I'm going home soon, and it's basically a win. If anybody doesn't know what this is, it's a Asus ROG Ally. It's the Extreme Edition, which I'd say if anybody's thinking about getting one, just get the Extreme one, not the base one. But I got a PS2 on here. I mean, a Korean PS2.
It's feeling like a hashtag ad.
Ad sales pitch. I'm just saying. Connor sold me on it, to be fair. Like, he was like, yeah, it's just a mini PC because it runs Windows 11, and you just put all your emulators on it and stuff like that. Like, yeah, dude. I'm like, I'm traveling soon, so I need something to play. Like, I felt mad guilty about buying it.
I just definitely need some hobbies, Like, I think going to the gym a couple of times a week, playing video games and watching video games doesn't really count as a hobby, to be honest. Like, all these things are just like, it's basically just like existing. I'm on the wrong side of 25 now. Like, I'm 26 years old, so it's like I'm having my quarter life crisis. So I need.
Brother, you were speaking to a 30-year-old, just saying. Like, bro, you're like 4 years younger than me. I wish I was fucking.
You have hobbies. You have hobbies.
Yeah, maybe.
you play Magic.
Look at my fish tanks every day, and yeah, that's about it. Like,
Exactly. You look at your fish tank, you look at some random Korean guy on YouTube's fish tank, like that's the day
Exactly.
done. You know, like
That is
there's
my day.
satisfaction in that.
Pod. And that, to
Yeah.
wrap it around to what we said at the beginning, like, holy, do I feel guilty sometimes during the off season and like all this shit. I'm like, no, I must be progressing. Like, I'm doing a cybersecurity certification at the moment, in my spare
Ah, yeah.
time.
No, I was think about one of those too, actually.
Yeah, right. And I'm like, well, I'd say I'm pretty literate when it comes to computers and like security, cybersecurity. It's always interested me. And like,
Yep.
me and my friend used to write our own little like keyloggers and like,
Yeah.
like I wouldn't call it a worm, but like it kind of was, but it wouldn't like hide in memory or anything. It was just like a program that would like worm its way into different folders and then delete itself and replicate itself. Like
Uh-huh.
it was very like rudimentary shit basically, but it was really fun and like I really enjoyed it.
Bit of fun, yeah.
Yeah, it is, and we made like a little, not a brute forcer, but like, you know, little tools that you could make and we could test them on our own machines kind of thing, and that was like super fun for me. So I'm like, yeah, I feel immense guilt. Like, please try and find something to do. Okay, I'll do a certification in fucking like fuck it. Like I've been doing
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen it, but Hackbox before, or Hack the
No.
Box. It's basically penetration testing, and it's just a very beginner way of getting into penetration testing, and I've been doing that recently too, and it's really fun, and I'm like, okay, it's something. Maybe this will lead to a career, or like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think good shout in that. You know? And security is something like there's lots to learn forever, so it's like challenge.
Yeah, exactly. Push your
That
mic
might
to
scratch the
your
right parts of
face
my.
again.
Oh,
Yeah, you're
my
chilling.
bad. Yeah.
Yeah,
So security just it looks like something that might scratch the right parts of the brain.
yeah, and I think
Yeah.
you hit the nail on the head too, dude. It's always evolving, and it's always just going to get more complex, and like everybody is going to need some team that helps with cybersecurity and like stuff in your organization. So I'm like, meh. And
Yeah.
weirdly, what's always interested me as well is like cheating in games, but like on the other side of it, like countering cheaters, and like anti-cheat has always been kind of interesting to me, and I'm always looking to get into new fields, and like anti-cheat has always scratched the itch of like cyber crime and like cybersecurity, but also like countering cheaters and stuff. So
Yeah, it's that same kind of like arms racy shit. Where
yeah,
it's
it
like just
is.
two sides constantly like secure this, penetrate into like just back and forth over and over.
It's a battle.
Seems
It's a
seems fun.
battlefield out there.
Seems fun.
It is fun.
It's a little gamified job. Gamified job.
Exactly. And it almost is gamified. I mean, Hackbox is fucking gamified penetration testing, basically. And you're just following like, oh, you need to go find this. Like they're called CTFs, capture the flags, and you just have to go find the flag in like their systems that they've created specifically for that. So you just like
I see.
you just test your penetration skills against systems that they've set up. And like if you can find the flag and you like breach the system, what are the vulnerabilities of the system and stuff? And it's pretty cool. It's really interesting. It definitely scratches an itch. But yeah, and it
Yeah.
stops the guilt, the important thing. For the time being.
Yeah. I had like mild guilt in every Overwatch League off season because the off seasons are like 3 months long.
Yeah.
You know, like for a coach, it's like you get so much time off, and it's PTO as well. You're contracted to your team, like you're getting paid for so long to just fucking, you know, the fact that the money is showing up in your bank account for that time, like that kind of like reduces the guilt a little bit. But every time, you know, it's like I get a month into the off season, it's like holy fuck, I'm so bored. Like I'm actually just doing nothing every day. Like what the fuck am I doing with my life? But then the job would start and the guilt would all go away for a while. But now it's just like, wow, I need to do as much as I possibly can because I'm just, yeah. Fortunately, I'm in Saudi Arabia at the moment, so I've
Yeah, exactly.
delayed the guilt by 2.5 weeks.
Hey, that would do anything to delay the guilt. That's the thing. I feel like
That's
the
probably
human existence summed up. Just delaying the guilt.
that's going to be the rest of my life is going to be delaying the guilt till eventually. no need anymore.
Eventually you croak and that's it. Is there a
Genuinely, like that's when the guilt will stop being.
that I do feel the same way. And the other day actually I had like a list of things that I wanted to do and like I'm trying to pursue and I'm wanting to get into that isn't casting. And I'm like, I love casting and it's literally my dream job. Like I didn't realize until my last year of university, I was like, holy shit, this is fucking sick. Like I really enjoy this.
Yeah.
Like just looking at a game and talking about it. Like I just love that shit. I just like watching the game intently and just like screaming about it. It's just super fun. Like
Was it like you had an insane passion for Overwatch, or was it another game that you started with?
I started in League of Legends. I started when Overwatch
Okay.
Overwatch wasn't even out.
So you've been going at it for the longest.
Yeah, like
Okay, right.
weirdly enough, like me and a friend, before I got my Overwatch League offer, actually, me and him were in Japan together.
Yeah.
And me and him ended up swapping roles in Overwatch League. So like he was doing Overwatch and I was doing League, and I was like, he was like, "Hey, do you want to swap? Like, I really want to like pursue League a lot more." And I was like, "Okay." Like, I used to play competitive TF2. I was like, I was really bad, by the way. Whenever I say that, I need to preface, I was terrible. Div 6 EU player, but like
Div 6.
the,
Wow,
the
that's
lowest
a
of the
low
low,
division.
baby. I got the medals on my Steam account.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. And then we switched,
Incredible.
and obviously, I was like, wow, Overwatch is my speed. But I was still getting paid for League of Legends work at the time. And then obviously contenders rolled around, and that happened. So yeah, but it was League of Legends to start off with, and I do still enjoy the game, and I like watching worlds and stuff. But my God, has that game evolved since I left? Fuck me. Good luck getting
Yeah, I
into any
think
other game. That's what I'm saying.
to drop into any new game, it's like holy shit, what is going on? You know?
Yeah,
Even with games like Valorant nowadays, it's like they've added so much stuff that it's like there's a learning curve. There's a learning curve. Although I do think that like most games are more spectatable than Overwatch. You know, so you're probably if you're casting Overwatch, you're probably casting the hard mode.
yeah.
Not to
Everybody says
not
that.
to ego it, but yeah.
No, seriously though,
I,
in Overwatch at least, like good fucking luck. Like in League, there's a lot happening in a team fight, but there's also like a shit ton of downtime as well. But like in an Overwatch fight,
yeah,
like the amount of shit that's going on, and you're not in a
yeah.
League of Legends POV. You're in a first-person perspective some of the time, just watching these fights go down. Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? Although Valorant got to the point as well where there was like the neon double wall, the Phoenix wall, the smokes, and and it was like, holy shit. Like looking at these images, and I
Yeah.
remember people memeing and comparing Overwatch and Valorant.
It was like the Overwatch Simwall fights, you know, like
Oh
the
my
same sort of
God.
shit there.
The Sim wall, May wall, Sigma, fucking Orisa. Oh my
Yeah, yeah.
God.
Every shield in the known universe on the screen. It's funny actually because like with the Saudi E-leagues, they keep fucking up the production where it's like they color code the teams. Like Twisted Minds is red. The teams we face like GK they're blue, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
But then they don't match the sides on the COF team. So like we'll be red color coded in the special UI, but will be blue side on the COF point.
Oh,
So then in game it's like blue ice block on point, blue window on point, but it's us, it's the red team, you know?
oh
Like
wow,
it's
yeah.
so confusing from the spectator standpoint. Like these motherfuckers have got to start pressing the swap sides button. It's such an easy fix. But yeah, the game is very very difficult to follow. I'd say. I think that like a lot of pros, they might not be the most entertaining casters necessarily, but there's definitely an advantage to having like a pretty good understanding of the
Yeah,
game, just because like
definitely.
maybe you can predict what's going to happen in the fight. Because if you're trying to do the fight play by play and you don't know what's coming, like you're really doing it like as it happens. If you don't have any idea of what's coming, I imagine it would be so fucking difficult to
It
cast the
is.
game because you need an understanding of what's going on and what's about to happen. Because if you don't, it all happens and you just have to play
And you've
catch up by
missed it.
reading
And
the
then
kill feed.
yes, you're
Yeah,
playing
yeah,
catch up. I think that's one of the biggest skills that younger casters and like less experienced casters struggle with, at least in play by play, is like predicting and just knowing. And I
yeah.
put a lot of that down to like, I'm not a good player, but like I'm GM1. I'm inching it top like
You're
I'm
good enough. You're good
I'm
enough.
good enough, I think, to
Yeah,
kind of predict what's happening. And obviously that's just the amount of hours I put into Overwatch, like just playing is just fucking absurd. Like I really wish
yeah,
it carried over the stats from like Overwatch 1, because I had two accounts with silver border, another account with almost silver border. Like if you combine them all, I'm
yeah. So
almost platinum border. So like
you've done your hours.
I got my
You've done your
hours.
time.
I got my fucking hours. But
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that has definitely helped me in like casting the game and like understanding what's going to happen next. And like
Yes,
I'm gonna
yes.
toot my own horn a little bit here. I was in J3's co-stream at one time when he was doing World Cup prelims, and I was like, we were going into a fight, and I was like, oh, this will happen. This will like this, and this should happen. Like, and then it happened, and I'm like, and just my caster Brett, and then like, and he was like, what? How'd you know that? I'm like, I don't know, bro. Just like that's just I've seen this like situation like so many times in pro Overwatch that it's just I just know. Like you just
That's the thing. Like if you have a high level understanding of the game, you know you can often see what's going to happen before
yeah.
the fight. You know, like if you look at the old states and maybe you even look at someone's positions, it's like, oh, this team's going to win.
Yeah, exactly,
It can be
exactly. And
really
then when it
obvious, you know?
doesn't, and that's
Yeah.
what separates really good poker players from like from the okay to the great, is like setting up for those moments, and then if something different happens, making sure you capture that moment and make it special. kind of thing. And yeah,
Yeah, you
it's
get it, you give it more hype. If something happened that wasn't expected, then you can be even more hype. You can be like, oh, this guy's fucked up so badly, or oh, this is an incredible play from this person, whatever.
yeah,
Using my caster language here because I haven't got that. But just giving people the respect they deserve or the disrespect they deserve
right, right.
for completely griefing 5-0 to 0. Something like that.
That is like the dopamine hit, That is like the okay, I did this fight really well. Like, I'm
Yeah,
happy with how I portrayed this player or like this team and stuff. And yeah, that's what I don't know. That's what dopamine does for me, Or that's what
yeah.
triggers my dopamine even. Just like
It's just important that the casters they don't overdo it too, because
for
if you
sure,
if you ever
yeah.
wind up disrespecting people because it's like, oh, my prediction of what was going to happen didn't happen, so this player must be crap or this player must have done something wrong. Like I think it might have been like Monty back in the day. Like Monty was just like a chronic like narrative pusher, like every time he would have a cast, he'd always be talking about like what was going to happen and what was going on and
Right.
like how this didn't go to plan, and it's like, what the fuck is this guy saying? Like, no offense, because I'm sure he's a good caster, but I just remember like from a player perspective, when I was watching like season 1 Overwatch League and I was still a player, I would listen to the casts and I'd be like, what is he saying right now? Like, that's not going to happen at all. And then it wouldn't happen, and he'd be like, oh, it's this guy's fault. And it's like, wait, no, this is like it's like a double negative now, like I don't know, just spreading propaganda. But yeah,
Propaganda,
it happens.
propaganda in the cast. Spread it. That's
Yeah,
a funny way of
just
putting it,
spread it.
actually. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's where like esports as well has evolved over time, where especially just in a game that's been out for so long. Obviously, at the very beginning, there's not much experience in that game, or maybe even that genre kind of thing. So like with
hmm
hero shooters, like when was the last time a hero shoot was popular that wasn't TF2? Or like, and that's where like Josh and Bren like had a good leg up in casting TF2, and like
hmm
TF2 is so different from fucking Overwatch as well. To be fair, and like maybe Paladins, I don't know. It's the casting always starts
Yeah,
out at
yeah.
like it's okay, and then it just like slowly over time just gets so much better. And it's same with the gameplay as well. Like you
I mean,
compare,
it's everything,
yeah,
New
or
game, people build up.
exactly, or a bot Lucio to
Yeah.
like Funny Astro now, like Daniel hitting
Ah,
3Ks on a
funny Astro.
bridge. You know what
Funny
I mean?
Astro's still a fucking bot, just in a different way.
Just a different, yeah, exactly. Just in a different year.
Just a different type of bot. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting to see games evolve like that, and I'm really, yeah, I think a lot of people, and I think they should like feel very fortunate to be around from the very beginning to like now, and still like at the top of their game, or like still doing what they're doing and seeing the game evolve that much, and the casting too, and the playing and everything else, and everything around it as well. It's like
Yeah.
this shit's sick, man. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's a bit of Stockholm syndrome, And now Overwatch League is like gone. It's like, holy fuck, like, no, bring it back. Or, it
Yeah,
just,
it's easy to complain about the product till they take it away and suddenly you don't even have a source of income.
yeah,
Like,
well,
shit, I
exactly,
loved
right?
Overwatch League, bring it back.
No, please. Yeah, exactly. I need
Yeah,
money.
please, Mr.
I
Miller,
want a
one more
job,
year.
bro.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
please, one more year.
yeah,
Yeah, it does feel that way. And, although, you can look back and you can go, okay, fuck, man. That was like sick. Like, what a
yeah. No, it's like
unreal
I'm
time.
not sure whether the glasses have gotten rose tinted or whether it's just like you see the overall perspective of it and you're like, holy fuck, that was a great job. Like that was
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah, like Overwatch
Yeah,
League,
maybe a
and
bit of
like the
both.
people we work with as well. Like, especially, I can imagine for you behind the scenes, but especially for us, like, there's so many people that we interact with on a daily basis that aren't big on Twitter, or like that are just not public facing people, and they're like amazing people that you work with every single, like the producers and like
Yeah.
the staff around like talent and everything else. I'm like I feel for those
I
two.
think a lot of those people, they don't get like any credit at all, to be honest. Like if they're not forward
Yeah,
facing, like people don't even recognize that they exist.
exactly.
Every game is full of observers, producers, all sorts of other people behind the scenes that never get any recognition at all, basically.
Yeah. And
And
it
they're
feels
equally out of a job.
exactly, and it feels bad for them because
Yeah.
man, it's tough not only for us but for them to try and maybe move on. Like what happens next? Everybody's obviously questioning it. This kind of
Yeah.
rattles off from a question I asked you earlier, but is there anything you kind of regret going from just in the Overwatch League or like even before that, contenders and whatnot?
Um no, with contenders I was really happy. Like with like the player career, I was really happy, I just followed like the linear the linear progression, It's like I started playing competitively, I got onto a decent team, stayed with the core of players forever, and we became the best team. Like just
Right.
progressed as like a group of friends for like 2 years, and we made it. So with the player career, I was like super happy. because we did that. But with the Overwatch League career, do I have any regrets? Look, to be honest, I'm really happy with how I did in Overwatch League. I wish I'd won a grand final. I guess. I think the biggest regret's probably like 22 Gladiators stuff. Like I don't really care about the Gladiators, to be honest. Maybe that sounds bad to say, but I don't really talk about what happened this year with the Gladiators. I had other shit going, so it was really just like bottom of the priority list for me. Um, but 22 Gladiators, like my biggest regret there is probably like I didn't have like a lot of ego in the coaching stuff. In terms of like how I presented stuff, I didn't really like fight super hard for my opinion sort of stuff. We would like argue a bit as a staff, but at the end of the day, like I would often let the other guys take the reins a lot. And I think like when we got into these stages where we were like sucking, like playoffs and Junker Queen meta, I think that it was just like I had a differing opinion, and I think that like I would have preferred if I had like more of an ego about it, and I like fought significantly harder for what I wanted to do as opposed to what the other guys wanted to do, just because I think the direction was better. I think that like those metas were more in my wheelhouse of my understanding of the game, and it would have
Right.
been cool if I could have like had more control in that regard. So I have a bit of regret about like not forcing what I wanted to do, I guess, because at the end of the day, like everyone has ideas all the time. Sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong. And I think that like if I'd forced my ideas in like the first half of the year, we wouldn't have won two stages. Like it's a very much a double-edged sword. But then like in the second half of the year, as things changed, I think I probably could have like forced my sort of style, and it would have worked better for the team. So I think that's probably my biggest regret is just a bit of a pussy 22 Gladiators, and just like finding my place in the coaching structure as like definitively the third coach, um,
Right. Okay.
the third coach on the team. Whereas like I think I could have sure stepped up significantly in that year, and then throughout. Yeah. So that was probably my only big regret there.
That's good. I mean, at least recognizing that's important, right? And taking
Yeah,
lessons learned.
because I've never had like big head coach aspirations really, just because
Sure.
I'm happy to be like, it's actually fantastic if there's always someone above you that you can blame for everything. So you can steal credit when you win, and you can avoid responsibility when you lose. Greatest position on earth, assistant coach for that. Um, but yeah, like just if you're a head coach, you need to be really harsh on people quite often. You really do need to be the person that like establishes the culture and has things strict. And I think I'm more of like the personable coach, I suppose. Have like a really strong relationship with players individually, but maybe like when it comes down to discipline and stuff like that, other people do that better. So I think being the assistant coach, that's more suited to what I do. But at the end of the day, Overwatch Future is probably like a one coach per team situation. So you gotta gotta do a bit of that.
Yeah. I mean, hey, the ego can come out then. That
I
learned,
don't I
but
don't think that's ever gonna I don't think that's ever gonna come out too much, to be honest.
too humble.
Because I think most coaches need to recognize that the players have a better understanding of the game than them
Right.
in most ways. It's like you watch the game from the top down, but you don't actually like feel what's so often. Like if a player comes to you and they're saying something and it sounds really stupid, it's like maybe you need to simultaneously like reassess your understanding of the situation because you don't even fucking play the game anymore. Like
Right.
how
Yeah.
would you know? Yeah,
It's
like
that's
you can watch
funny.
the top down and you can see the positions, you can't
Yeah.
feel it.
That's funny because Jake said pretty much the same thing to me when I was talking to him about it like a long time ago. He's like, well, at the end of the day, like coach is there to facilitate a lot of the time, and like players probably know better in certain situations.
All
Like,
right. I agree with that. I think it's like players know better, and you just need to guide them to reaching like the cohesive solution that works as a team.
yeah,
Players know what works best for them individually, and you just need to articulate that into a cohesive piece that works for five people,
right,
getting everyone on the same page more or less.
yeah. You got.
Unfortunately, coaching requires some like people skills and conflict resolution skills and stuff like that.
Did you say
It's
you're
not
good
all
at
about just like yes,
that? Okay, good.
yes,
That is a good thing.
yes. Yeah. I'd say I'm definitely better at the soft skills, the people skills, than I am with like the playing stat banana and telling people where to stand, that sort
Right.
of stuff. I'm good at giving people a general solution and like a general vibe of how we need to improve on a concept, but I'm actually terrible at giving people the really specific detail for every situation. It's like if they show me a freeze frame of the game and they're like, "Where do you want me to play right here?" It's like I don't have the fucking answer for you. Like how I want you to play. Can you figure it out? Like that's
Yeah.
that's
Right.
kind of more yeah how I think about that sort of stuff.
But I guess there's almost a split then, because I would assume some coaches are very much in the other camp. So I mean, Makes
Yeah,
you,
well, the Gladiators style was very much into like the specifics, you know,
yeah,
like here's the scene, here's how we should approach it, and it's like it worked sometimes, it didn't work sometimes, but overall, it's really not my style. So I think that like in the overall coaching structure for that team, I think that I was a good fit culturally when we were winning.
right.
Well, I was a good fit culturally all the time, but I was a good fit on the team when we were winning because it was like I could keep everyone, happy more or less, and just contribute a bit here and there. But if our style wasn't working, I wasn't a very good fit at all, because I couldn't really present my stuff. There was so much other information going on that it was like I just felt like I had no impact at all, other than cultural stuff, other than just trying to keep people vaguely happy.
It's a good skill to have. It's a good skill for just like general life outside of esports as well. If you're a people person, not
I
a
guess, yeah.
not the worst thing in the world. You say I guess, but like I think that was pretty important. Like in just fucking.
Yeah, but sometimes you get tired of trying to please the players, crawling between
That is true.
their desks one by one, like it's not much fun. But
You just yeah, you are. What do they say? Like herding cats as well, right?
yeah, I don't know. They're difficult. Pro gamers, especially, they're another breed of for sure.
Yeah,
uh,
sounds like it.
if
Well,
you make it, I was thinking it's like game life is like an RPG. You gotta like max out
right.
your stats, and like you gotta if you're gonna max one stat, you need to like have some compromises elsewhere. And it's like if you're gonna be this fucking good at a game, you've definitely like taken a hit in some other stat, some like soft skill, some life skill is missing for like almost all of these pro gamers. It's you'll occasionally find a unicorn where it's like, wow, you're a functional person and you're fucking crazy at the game. But for the most part, like there's like a correlation between in-game skill and a negative correlation between in-game skill and out-of-game skill.
I mean, yeah, to be fair, going from like you're 16, 17, 18, whatever, and you're just fucking sick. Maybe you've got like nasty aim, and then suddenly you're on a team, and suddenly you're earning like I don't know, 50, 60, 70, like whatever money. Like you're in an
I was on the Gladiators, mate. Like add another digit.
yeah, all right,
Like,
okay, yeah, a little six-figure digit, like, and that's fucking ridiculous too. Like, my God, I
yeah,
can't imagine being put in that position. And what I think about a lot as well is like, motherfuckers have not had like a fucking part-time job, like dealing
yeah.
with
No, they're all missing life skills, mate.
exactly.
Oh, hang on one sec. Someone's just. Yeah, sorry, we've just had a
Vibing.
lovely member of the staff walk in. So
You're vibing. No, well,
yeah,
I was just gonna say life skills, dealing with customers, like front facing, like 9 to 5, like minimum wage jobs. Like, my God, that taught me a ton, is what I will say.
yeah. Actually, mate, everyone has like the preseason that they get signed in November, and then maybe they show up in like March or February of every year. I think it would actually be crazy if instead of scrimming online during the preseason, everyone just had to work 3 months in a hospitality job. Like every rookie
Oh,
had to do 3 months in hospo, and then they would actually show up and just be way more functional than ever before.
they would.
Like
Yeah,
they
you
should do boot
100%
camps for
would.
the players where they all have to go to an apartment in their home country. They have to live by themselves for 3 months, and they have to work a hospitality job. And you just get the best players ever for it because they'd actually be like semi-human by the time they get out of that.
Yeah. They know how to like cook,
Yeah.
clean, and fucking tidy up after themselves and fucking deal with
Or,
people as well.
or
Like,
they could be 23 and not know how to do any of that, which would be fucking.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, to be fair, I know a few people like that as well. So it's not the worst thing in the world. I will
Oh,
say,
really? That manages to stick in casting too, or?
well, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. That's all I'll say. I know, like, hey, if a lot of people are very introverted, so it happens where sometimes it happens where those tendencies and those traits come out as well in real life. I would say I haven't really dealt with a lot of that, but like, yeah, I've heard things. What I would say, like people
Yeah.
just not being the nicest, or like it's like, hey man, like that's kind of weird, and like, hey, if you had a part-time job, like dealing with fucking customers and shit like that, like maybe you'd have a different perspective of like what you're doing right now, like, yeah, there's.
Yep.
I wouldn't say there's a lot of that,
That's
but
it.
like it happens.
It might be hard to teach empathy too, though. Like some people
Yeah.
might be a bit short.
Holy
On that, and
shit!
that might
Unless
not be
you've
a
been
learned skill.
threatened, threatened by someone saying that they're gonna fucking stab you for a scratched Watch Dogs disc for the fucking Nintendo Wii U, then you haven't fucking lived. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you've not
They
been
got like some
threatened by
childhood
man,
trauma that we're unpacking
I,
on the video or something. Like,
your motherfucking kid definitely picked up the Wii U and shook it a little bit and had laser burn on it. The discs do not come out the factory with fucking laser burn, is all I'm going to say. And you threaten to stab me all you fucking want. The fucking popo are just around the corner. Jesus Christ.
Jeez.
Dealing with those
no,
kind of
the laser
people.
burn actually hurts.
Laser burn, yeah. Is the,
All right. I remember a friend picked up my Xbox and ruined my Modern Warfare 2 disc.
Happens all the time, man.
Like, wow.
It's like,
wow.
Just don't move the fucking console while the disc is in. A lot of the newer consoles, like, they don't do that anymore, but like 360,
yeah,
just
that was a really hurtful childhood memory that you've just unearthed. Actually,
that
was
really?
like one of the most painful days of my life.
Core memory unlocked.
Breaking. Yeah, no, geez, I fucking love that game.
Yeah,
I just broke it.
I did.
All right, we're back.
Hey, I've done that too. I did it myself to my fucking Halo 3 limited edition disc, and I've still got the disc. Still got it.
Well, it's worthless disc now, mate.
Worthless disc, but hey, the
packaging. You should have taken the disc into the store and threatened to stab someone.
Yeah, maybe they'll just sort it out. Yeah, no, because we told him to fuck off because he didn't even buy it at our store. I was like, what the fuck?
It wasn't even from you.
No receipt. You said you didn't even buy it in our store. It was someone else's. Not like it was still in the same chain, but like it was some other store,
not
like
not
our one. Yeah, and you're threatening to stab me, and you're clearly. You ruin the disc, or your kid ruined the disc. Like, Watch Dogs on the Wii U as well? Really? You don't want to get on 360?
Shit title, shit platform. Like, I don't know.
Holy fuck.
Taking the piss.
It's taking the fucking piss. Yeah. But, I mean, you're not wrong. Like, dealing with, like, customers front-facing, my God, what a fucking world-changing experience when you realize, like, most, like, the general Joe public, general populace, they're just morons. Just moronic. Like, holy
they're all
shit,
they're
dude.
awful. They're awful. Like they're morons and they're awful to service staff.
Yeah. Anybody behind a counter that's selling you video games in my from my experience, or like serving you coffee, food, drinks, doing what nicer to them, man. Doesn't take much.
I'm not looking forward to being 40. Like, because I figure once I'm 40, I will just naturally be that person. I feel like you're in your 20s and you're like, yeah, it couldn't possibly be me.
Yeah.
It's like there's so many people that are like that. It's like it must be me. Like I'm getting.
You just unlock that trait in the skill tree, the midlife crisis.
Yeah,
trait
or like your brain rots in your head enough that something just it goes missing. Yeah.
Well,
you forget that the service staff are people too.
I really hope a lot of the players that are playing now don't forget that service staff are people. People that are selling them whatever the fuck are real human beings.
I mean, the players nowadays, they're not being sold anything in person. They're buying everything over their fucking
That's
computer
true
too. Like they don't even see the delivery guy. Like they pick it up out of the box in their apartment, so they're laughing.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Yeah, just Uber Eats, DoorDash and shit.
We're straying further from God every day, mate. In 10 days, we'll be living in tubes or something. Like it's so fucking over.
It'll be like you seen WALL-E? When everybody's just in the big wheelchairs and they're fucking, or like not, I think wheelchairs, I don't know, the zoomy things because they can't fucking walk anymore and they're fucking just shit and like it would just be like
it'll be you too, mate.
Can't wait.
None of us will be immune to this.
Can't wait.
If
I end up like that, then just feel free to just push me over so I can't get out. I want to be fit and active.
For one, I'm looking forward to living in the pod and eating the bugs. You do you.
Having the tubes in you and you just don't have to do anything, but you sit there and just, for me, I play Magic the Gathering for fucking 12 hours a day, Easy clap, man.
That's your finishing move, like just non-stop Magic.
Non-stop Magic the Gathering. Hey, it's pretty, I'm just saying, like, God, this is a small tangent, but like, fuck me. Magic the Gathering Arena, what a life-changing experience. Absolutely fucking life-changing. I don't have to go down to my local card shop anymore. Dude, it's crazy. Like, I love playing like standard, and like you can't go down to the card shop every day and just play with people like all the time with varying skill levels. So like I like doing that still, but like, bro, you can just log on. I hit play with the deck. You can just keep going and going and going. Rage quit, go, like crazy. Although I do concede a little bit too early, I will say. I'm a little bit of a rage quitter on Magic.
You tilt and leave the lobby early?
A little bit sometimes, yeah. If there's like strats that you're not going to know, and maybe the audience don't know, but there's a strat called Domain right now. It just makes me want to claw my fucking eyes out, bro. I hate that shit. I'll tilt early.
You're
and
a quick FF.
Yeah, quick FF. Okay. I'll just concede. Because I'm like, if they get the combo off, I'm like, concede. I don't care. I don't care to see your combo. Fuck you. I'll go on to the next one.
You don't even want to see it.
I just don't want to see it. I'll see the combo start. I'm like, nope, I'm out. Didn't ask.
Fair enough.
Get the fuck out of my game. But if I smack them down in 4 turns, then Dude, okay, only against fucking domain decks. If there's any other decks, sure, why the fuck not? But to be fair, the same with Overwatch. I was playing with Scott yesterday. Our team was just fucking inting, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go Alari and just shoot people. I don't care. Play around the pylon. Don't give a fuck. Like,
Yeah, I mean that's Overwatch there. You know, there's always a swap when you get pissed off. You know, you can just go to something less useful to the team. You know, you can just play for yourself a bit more.
hell yeah, I love doing that. I love locking Alari, bro. You just play around the pylon. I'm
Yeah.
not healing you. I'll just shoot people.
I mean, I like being able to do that sort of stuff, but at the same time, my hands don't work. So it's kind of hard for me to lock the individual value hero. It's like I'm not going to swap and carry the game. Like, who am I kidding?
Yeah, that's not on me, bro. That's on the DPS, bro. It rolls OP.
No, just coach.
Just a
I'm
coach. All right, Unter, I do appreciate you coming on. I really do. I don't know if you want to
No worries. There's
take the floor now. And
nothing
just,
better to do.
Hey, you're in Riyadh.
It's just like
you're
self-promo time.
Baby. It's self-promo. Do whatever you want. You can take the floor, say
There's,
whatever, and yeah, just whatever you want to say.
There's no promo. I got nothing going on. You know, by the time this episode's out, Twisted Minds will have won Saudi E-Leagues. So, you know, I can't even plug those guys. Like, I can't even say go watch their match. Watch Uncoachable. You know, watch that podcast. You know, write a comment. Send a death threat directed at me in the comments. we want death threats as comments. And currently, I've been getting a lot of personal attacks about like my facial hair, my personality, and stuff like that. But I don't want personal attacks like that. I want death threats. So please watch Uncoachable and send death threats to me in the comments, please. And that's
wow.
Yep.
The most unhinged outro of all fucking time, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Yeah, no, thanks for coming on, mate. Appreciate it. I'll put Unter's links down in the description below, and I'll put Uncoachable's link as well down in the description. There you go. All right.
All right, sweet.
Thanks for coming. Peace out, everybody.
No worries.